Hey, guess we're just ready to go. Let's go. We're on the NLC, everybody. We have got some absolutely storming matches for you today. But of course, before we get in, got to say thank you to our sponsors, MasterCard, El Giganten, and Atelia. I'm joined by Gulborg and Trouble today on the desk as we have got some, as I said, incredible matches coming your way. We've got the best of three that I think a lot of people have been anticipating, which is that Fnatic versus BTXL matchup. And then later on in the day, we have Nordavind versus Singularity, which is also going to be an absolute banger. But of course, we have to just mention that if you are wanting to get involved at home and win yourself a boatload of RP, you can go over to our social media channels. NLC LOL, you'll be able to find us where MasterCard are running the play of the day. So you can go and get involved with that and check out all of the juicy RP giveaways that they have through the finals week, which is this week, of course. And yeah, 15,000 RP with 5 runners-up with 15,000 RP as well. There's also a Q&A session with a special guest, which I believe is Shox. The last time unless it's changed, unless someone has changed it, I believe it's Shox. You're going to have a Q&A session on the Rift with Shox, and you can essentially win that, which is awesome because Shox is a lovely person and you get to ask loads of great questions. So, guys, let's talk about today. We have Fnatic versus BTXL, and we have Singularity versus Nordavind. If we have a look at the bracket, you can kind of talk me through, and I obviously want to kind of talk about some of these matchups, but let's bring you in. Which one do you think is going to be closer?
You know what? Get BTXL and Fnatic Rising out of my face. I don't care about that. We'll see them in the grand final anyway. Give me the juicy Nordavind versus Singularity. Give me the team that stomps early game, completely gives the game away in the mid game, brings it back in the late. I'm talking about you, Singularity. You know, we're seeing eye to eye right here. And give me Nordavind on the other hand, which if they stop mid game, they actually win it all. So it's just extremely interesting because these two teams actually spike different times in the game, and usually when Singularity completely throws everything and anything they've done in the early game, Nordavind will be there to catch it because that's the strongest part.
Listen, I'm all for the Scandinavian hype. I'm all for the Nordic hype here. But like the first matchup, for real, this is literally two teams that we have not seen play each other yet.
You'll get to see it again.
Whatever, I want to see them multiple times, all right? I want to see them multiple times. I'm glad if I get to see them twice. Like, how is it going to go today? How is it going to go in a best of 5 if that's what they go out in? And I want to see, because this is the two best team, undisputably, from both groups here that I've just been waiting to see clash. I think they have loads of talent stacked on their roster, and I want to see what happens when these two powerhouses meet each other.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking forward to that, Gulborg. I think, again, you know, these guys draw the attention for a reason. They are our sister, LEC sister teams, of course. But if you're wondering how these guys got so pro at League of Legends, well, do you know what? We've got you covered here at the NLC. We talked to some of our players, and they have delivered some pro tips on how to get better at League of Legends.
Avoid toxicity. There is a really simple trick that doctors hate you for, and it's muting everyone at the beginning of the game. And it's even better if you actually turn off the chat.
Oh, they're going. They both got home guard.
They're backdooring. They're backdooring.
Yeah. Toxicity is for most players like a way to shift responsibility, which results in you're not improving yourself. You're only like blaming your teammates. So if you want to improve as a player, you need to get away from toxicity and review your own gameplay.
Well, and it's good to hear from Mummus, and I think the true secret to winning is just be as smiley as Mummus, even in your solo queue games, and you'll guarantee yourself some wins. Let's take a look back. I want to have a look back at some of the key moments from these teams. We have a couple of highlights from their games that they've played throughout the NLC. Of course, we're going to be covering all 4 teams that are involved in our games today. We'll start off with those highlights with the Fnatic versus M&M game. You can see here, Fnatic have, I think, gone from strength to strength throughout this season.
And that's the thing, right? Because they out of the two sister teams or academy teams, if you want to, they were probably the team that looked the most inconsistent throughout the regular season. Yes, BTXL dropped the game as well, but their victories, all in all, looked pretty confident when sometimes when you saw Fnatic win, like it came to the ultra late game where they were not in control of some of the fights. Like they were losing out, and it comes down to the individual clutch level of players towards the late game team fights. But sometimes even the macro is faltering, and that's what I see between the two teams today. Like the difference in them, how are they going to show up?
Actually, I really like how he mentioned individual players, because I feel like Fnatic has had a lot of pop-off moments on different lanes. It could be the top, it could be the mid, it could be the jungle, it could be the bot lane. If something goes wrong, suddenly you see Febby like step up, Bean step up. You'll see different people like rocks roaming the map. You'll see so many different people trying to step up to carry the team forward if something has gone wrong. And then you look at BTXL and it's like, have we even seen these guys lose? Like, have they actually, like, they've lost the game, sure, but have they actually lost it? Like, what happened there? What was going through their heads? Because it's just their early game just looks so dominant. And every single game we've seen them take, it's like, there's such a huge lead in the early. This is why I feel like the first game is going to be extremely interesting, because if Fnatic get ahead, how do BTXL come back in a mid game when they're behind?
Yeah, I'm interested to see that too. You just saw Nordavind. I really feel like Nordavind's bot lane are kind of giga smurfs right now. I think they've had an incredible second half of the season. I think Nordavind have looked stronger and stronger overall. We also have Singularity too, who have, I think, they've wavered a little bit. I actually think Singularity have wavered a little bit, but they are still an incredibly strong team, and I definitely don't think we can count them out.
Yeah, I predicted Nordavind as well. We'll obviously get to that later, but I think that it's interesting because Singularity, to me, at their best, I think as a unit are probably better than Nordavind, but I never see them at their best as a unit that often. I feel like it comes down to either the bot lane or Prosphere who'll have to make something work with the roams, or someone's not showing up on the day. And where I'm looking at Nordavind, they're always consistent and playing for their bot lane, or at least they looked like that towards the end of the split, and we saw that in their playoffs matches as well. I just thought they looked a bit more convincing than Singularity did to me.
Honestly, I feel like I'll agree with Goldbook here. It feels like when Nordavind are on a good day, they do look better than Singularity, just because of how chaotic the Singularity mid game is. Like, yes, these guys can pick it up from a 10k deficit if you're Singularity. They somehow find a way in the late game. They find the fight, they fight the picks, they find what they need, you know, the objectives, anything, and they'll bring it back after they've thrown it. So, and if they fix that mid game, I do feel they're a superior team than Nordavind. They're just not as consistent. It feels like if Nordavind played their consistent way, I think they might just be a step above.
Just to say, guys,
Even though I did vote for Singularity, so.
I've got to compliment you both, by the way. Trouble, you're incredibly color coordinated. I'm loving it. And Gulbug, I'm loving the turtleneck. I unfortunately had to throw on what I could find, as my office is at my old house where none of my clothes are, because the internet has been down at my parents' house for 7 days. So I haven't been able to have the good internet. Anyway, guys, let's take a look at the schedule for today. Let's have a look at what we've got. I think I've kind of said what we've got coming up, but just to put it in your faces, put it on a visual cue. Fnatic Rising and BTXL will be our first matchup, starting at 6 p.m. CET, followed by Nordavind and Singularity, which is scheduled to start at 9, but of course could start earlier if the game goes 2-0 in favor of Fnatic Rising or BTXL, maybe even later, depending on how long the games go. We could be looking at some absolute sloggers. So, you know, plenty of time tonight to kind of look at some really high quality League of Legends.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting between the first series, at least, if we want to dive into some matchup specifics. I think jungle is going to be very pivotal for the first series we'll get. I think individually, Marcoon has looked better than Maxi. But when I take a look at Maxi, what I think Fnatic does better with him is the support jungle duo. So while Marcoon is really good in the early game, like he's been the first blood king, 70% first blood rate, like absolutely insane in the early game. I think Maxi is better in the mid game together with Rox when they start having an influence on the map. I think that's going to be pivotal attacks you're going to see between the two teams later.
And this is very interesting because, like Gulbok mentioned, we've seen Marcoon pop off, but it's due to his own efforts, excuse me, to his own outpathing, to his own outsmarting the opponent jungler. Fnatic move around the map like a unit. You can't necessarily do that to them. You see Maxi, he's probably going to have the support behind him. Febby pushes mid lane like a madman. How is the Febby versus Hatrix going to pan out? Because when Febby even starts rolling, it gets really, really, really rough for your jungler to do whatever he wants in the opponent jungler. So I just want to see, this is why I said I think it's going to be really interesting to see if BTXL fall even slightly behind in the early game. How do they bring it back? If Marcoon doesn't get to be the madman he is in the early game, how do they bring that back?
I think that's what's absolutely insane about today's matchup as well, is that we could talk matchup specific about every single lane. Like you have a Rome who's been the guy who's just had an amazing stats in top lane, but Fnatic haven't lost either since they brought in Pride, who's been their staple rock in the top side. So how's that gonna look when a powerhouse like a Rome is playing against the staple rock that is Pride? Like who's gonna shake up that matchup? Are we getting the tanks? Are we getting the carries? What are the adaptations in the best of 3? Like I'm so excited for this series because I think you can go over everything between these two teams.
You actually
Before
could.
we get like the Sion versus Ornn in the top
Yeah.
lane,
Even
his
that-
dreams just get completely crushed.
I know. LEC Scions are pretty cracked right now, dude. Those guys are tanking like an absolute beast. But obviously, we can even talk about the Febiv and Hatrix matchup. Like Febiv, clearly very veteran versus Hatrix, who's, again, as you said, very dependable in the mid lane. Probably the biggest test that either of these mid laners will have versus each other. Honestly, this series is really boiling down to an incredible kind of matchup. I want to see the predictions, though. I kind of want to see where the rest of the talent has gone in terms of their way. And everybody has gone BTXL. I genuinely thought we would have more of a split here on the talent desk. There is a big, essentially 50-50 split. Everyone went 2-1 for the Singularity Nordavin series. It's clear that most people believe that's going to be a close one. But we have got a couple of 2-0s, and everybody is BTXL for this talent predictions, which is absolutely nutty that people believe that XL are just that much stronger.
Especially because it's always been Fnatic. Last time in the regular season, you could clearly tell that Fnatic was the team that was going to be the best, just from how they played. BTXL was a bit more shaky, but I think the tables have turned. I think in terms of the execution and in terms of the regular play and their consistency, like, it came down to BTXL, and that's what everyone is thinking when we came to the predictions, that BTXL has just looked a little bit more consistent and better than Fnatic, but this is the best of three, so I mean, it's very close. It's not like we think it's going to be an absolute stomp. At least I don't think so myself.
So I'm gonna go past the eye roll from Excandril because people clearly cannot see our chat, and I'm very thankful for that. And I'm gonna say that something we really have not mentioned at all is the bot lane. And there's like such a huge difference between the two bot lanes, because the BTXL bot lane, Advian and Deadly, they don't have to do nothing. The rest of the top of the map is just so far ahead that at some point you do see Deadly joining the fight, and he's pretty farmed. He didn't have to do anything. Like he said, I'm getting wins the slash hitting. I don't actually need to do anything else. On the other hand, Bean has stepped up so many times of Fnatic Rising. He has been the big carry. You see him on the Kai'Sa join in and completely dismantling a whole fight. So I think there's like a stylistic difference between these two bot lanes, because Advian does seem to stick a little bit more with Deadly down the bot lane because he's not needed at the rest of the map, whilst Rux is roaming together with Maxi. And then you see Bean being so consistent farming down the bot lane, and then later on you see like a 3-0 or a 4-0 Kai'Sa joining the fight, completely destroying. You're like, where did that come from?
My question is that because Deadly hasn't needed to change that style? Has Deadly not needed? Because as you correctly quoted from the interview, I love the interview that we had with Deadly. He was basically, dude, like, I'm getting free wins, I'm getting carried every game. Like, but you talk to him about, and even he said it, last year, it wasn't like that. That wasn't what his role on XL. His role was to absorb resources and become the carry. And it has not been like that for XL this year. They've actually got these power houses in especially in top jungle. Like, top jungle is super strong for XL right now. And I'm just interested in where the big matchup's going to be. Like, do you think it's going to be jungle focused? Do you think there's going to be a lane that's going to be important here? My inkling is that it'll be jungle dominated. Personally, my inkling is going to be like which jungler can really kind of get control of this series. But I'd love to hear your very brief thoughts before we kind of get ready for this champion select.
I think it's going to be priority central, pretty much, just because you don't want to allow Marcoon to do whatever he wants. So I think both teams are going to try to get as much priority on each and every lane as much as possible, and then try to play for the junglers on that side of the map. Priority is literally the name of the game for both. It's most likely going to have to be mid as well. Mid is going to play a big pivotal role in this entire thing.
I'm going to take a page out of the Orcs book and say, I agree.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm glad that we're in agreement here. Now, I've got to get ready for the Battle of Britain, but after I've done with that, we are going into our first champion select between Fnatic and XL.
Into the sun, we're shining over all the lights below us. You're the only one that I'm wanting. When I lie awake, waiting for a shot of adrenaline. Give you everything. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Baby, we're harder than a heat wave. Hold me like a secret, 'cause baby we're electric. Baby we're electric. Baby we're electric.
Up, we're nearly in sync, but not in step just yet. When you time that look, you know this can't be second best. It's all in the timing. There's not a right way or a wrong way. It's just a short way or the long way. Get there together in our own way.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to dive into our first champion select of a very anticipated series, Fnatic Rising versus BTXL. This is definitely one of the most, I think, I look forward to. I don't know, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, people want to see this matchup. People wanted to see this matchup pretty much through the entire split. It's generally kind of I hate to say this word, the El Clasico of the UK split over the last kind of 2 or 3 years, and especially in the Nordics now, they've kind of infiltrated that too, with BTXL and Fnatic Rising being just the two best teams in that regard. So this is when we get our first power gauge between these two teams.
So usually we've been saying that Fnatic has been the arch nemesis of BTXL. Every time they faced them, every time Fnatic has beat them, they pulled out the upset, they pulled out the reverse sweep when BTXL was like 2-0 up in previous finals. Now it's time for events. Now it's time for the sweet blood coming back to BTXL. They do seem to have the strongest team on every single role you take it from. So I can't wait to see that, because I see you, Goldborg, right there. I see you.
I was just looking down my notes.
So is this in every single role? Let me take a look at my notes. But yeah, I feel like overall, even if it's by like a slight margin, if it's like a 1%, they do seem to be the better team in the tournament, and I can't wait to see what they can do, because if they manage to actually beat Fnatic in a best of 3 here, in a best of 5 rather, sorry, in a best of 3, then the best of 5 that they'll come in with the grand finals and they'll be 1-0 up, it will feel that much better.
I wish it was already a best of 5, and I gotta say, man,
True.
I'm feeling, I'm feeling a bit left out here as the Nordic. I was hoping that we would have teams who's already coming up here and contesting, but I guess that is what we're gonna be looking at later when we took on a look onto Nordavind and Singularity. But fact is, just as you said, Trouble, this is the moment we've been waiting for, and I think it's absolutely amazing to see, or actually to highlight what the skill level is going to be for the NLC, because you have never seen these two teams challenged in a best of 3 before. It's always looked like a walk in the park, at least from in their former playoffs games. So I want to see, how does it look when the 2 best teams from the NLC is getting challenged? How good is our region looking when we're looking onto EU Masters? And that's the thing, winner of this games also at least secures EU Master play-in. So there's a lot on the line here.
Yeah,
We're getting the EU Masters win this year, baby. Let's go.
We need that first spot.
We do.
I think we need we need our 3rd spot back. Come on, guys. Gotta give a good showing. Now we're all into the draft. Fnatic Rising won the coin toss, which I believe meant they got side selection first, and they have chosen blue here. We are not going to see Advian getting his hands on his Alistair. That is banned away. We're going to see the Lilia and the Thresh ban. Obviously, Rux particularly good at Thresh as well, with the Hecarim ban coming through. So a lot of, I would say a couple of targeted support bans, even though Alistair and Thresh are pretty popular right now. But Lilia and Hecarim, not much surprise with those there.
Yeah, so the thing is, when you ban out Hecarim and Alistar, that leaves room open for Rel, and you decide to ban out Kai'Sa now, so you know that's not going to be the takeaway. So BTXL is left with an option. Is it Seraphine? Is it Rel? How much do we value these picks that's going to come in? And even Udyr is still up. When I took a look onto the other ERLs that had playoffs this week, Udyr and Hecarim was like the S-tier junglers, and then Lilia came afterwards. Obviously, Alistar and Thresh was up there as well, and then you had Kai'Sa and Xayah be the 280 carries. So I'm interested to see what it's going to come out. Obviously, the Caitlyn that I completely forgot about, that's risen in priority afterwards. So Seraphine, Rel, and Udyr is up. And you could be cheeky and get like 2 power picks from BTXL if you only first pick one of them with Fnatic Rising. But they decide that they just want the power pick of an AD carry right now. Tristana is like the ST AD carry. If you've taken a look onto your LPL, they just have so much priority onto this champion. Reliable in the early game, reliable in the late game.
I really like that because you can also swap it into the mid lane if it does have a good matchup, so you can be flexible right there. It doesn't necessarily have to go in the hands of Bean, but with someone as aggressive as Bean when he comes out of laning phase, I feel like Tristana suits his playstyle a lot. And we talked about the fight of the priorities throughout the lanes, right? Tristana is a perma-pushing champion down the bot lane. He will be getting that priority down bot. And I really like what Fnatic Rising are doing here because, yes, there's 3 power picks open. You do manage to keep in hand the priority pick down the bot lane, and you will also get one of the 3 that will remain right here, whether the Rel gets locked in with the Seraphine or the Udyr. But now they do have the chance to lock both in. They can have the Seraphine in the middle and Udyr in the jungle.
We're going to see the blind pick Gnar here for Arome in the top lane. Generally has very few terrible matchups, but if he goes through to that second ban phase, you can get rid of things like Camille if you're really worried about them. Udyr is being thought of by Fnatic Rising and will get locked in. It is a very strong jungler. Even managed to get Astralis some wins in the LEC with Zanzarus. So we know that Udyr is a good jungler in that.
What was that? Are you taking a jab at Astralis? What's going on?
I'm joking.
At your boys and Zanzarus scoundrel,
I love Zanzarus. Mate, I love Zanzarus. Oh my god, I could go on forever about that interview that you did on the LEC that weekend. It was insane. Anyway, we have Udyr locked in, and we're waiting for the final pick, which will be Sion. So Trouble did kind of mean when we were talking a little bit about
I was 50% correct.
Yeah, you were 50% correct when you said, like, we're just going to get a Sion versus by Pride, which gives them that very solid engage with a big tanky front line, providing plenty of disruption.
Yeah, and it's not like you're thinking like, oh, they're counterpicking here. It's more like, okay, now we'll still have priority in the early game, but when you get to like mid to late game, like it's going to be so hard cutting through him. He's just there as a frontliner to be that tank to facilitate his backline. And you can already take a look on the Fnatic Rising roster. You have 2 scary frontliners. Udyr is so hard to kill when he gets ahead, and he usually does that because he's clearly so fast. And then on the other side of BTXL, they decide to go with the Xayah. That's great for disengage.
So
I'm a little worried. Oh, sorry, go Trouble, yeah.
Here's the deal, right? Mid laners are full open, and Makun still needs to pick his jungle. So assuming BTXL will want to keep the counter pick for hat-tricks, of course, in the mid lane, which would make sense. Fnatic have to take a gamble here because BTXL will clearly just hammer that mid lane pool for Fabivan. And then Fnatic have to make the choice whether they want to hit Marcoon, who has been a big factor on the BTXL wins, or if they would like to pinch even more the mid lane pool, because we have seen hat-tricks not having that much of a vast champion.
I think it makes sense just to ban out the junglers, because no matter what, you're pretty much going to be getting counter pick as BTXL. You already know what the jungler is going to be, so you could just pick your own jungler on the fourth pick, and then you get the counter pick on fifth if that's what you want to. Or you can say we value having Orianna so much or Sia so much that 2 champions that are still up. If you think that Macoon's champion pool is just that big and there's still room left open for him, because there's not going to be any takeaways from Fnatic Rising. And if you think they want to play a Sia, well, you can just pick it right here and blind it.
I can see the Graves. I can see the Graves coming.
Don't give me Graves.
Yeah.
It's
It's the only one that's left, Goldborg.
That's if you had any of the LPL casters seeing Graves get logged in, they'll be having an aneurysm right now, because he was not having a great success in the LPL in this sort of the start of the season. But we are waiting now for Fnatic to round out their composition. It'll be Orianna for Vivian. They've got a very, very kind of like standard front to back team comp opening up here. And we'll wait to see what the support will be, the final lock-in for Fnatic Rising for Rux here.
Okay. So what I'm seeing so far is, like you mentioned, 2 very lovely front-to-back compositions. Engage is really lacking though, but like the Engage is just so situational from both. If the pain train hits by Sion, then Leona goes in, but if she goes in alone, then who's gonna follow up? So I feel like they both have a lot of kiting potential, especially with like having a frontal like Leona, Sion, Udyr, when you're Tristana, and you've got the shields coming in from the Orianna, and then BTX are like, we're gonna peel as well, we're gonna kite as well for our ADC, and Xayah is like one of the best ADCs to avoid any CC thrown at her. And then you've got the gravity field, I'll do what I want, Victor over there, like completely stopping you coming through the choke point, and then you've got the narring you away, you've got smoke screens coming in. It's like I can see one team trying to engage and the other team kiting, and then the other way around. This is great. This is actually great.
I actually prefer Fnatic's draft going into this one. I think Udyr is going to have way more a faster power play, so he's going to be the first one to influence the lane or just go back and recall. I think when I take a look at the bot lane, there is still some hope for BTXL. Xayah can always be a factor if she gets ahead. Like that's just the case for basically every AD carry. But when I take a look at them combined, I think it's easier to play Fnatic Rising. It's just like we go in, that's fine. We get priority, we be the first on objective, we take objective or we turn on you, and either you get something or you just die. So I feel like that on the side of BTXL, you're relying on that bot lane to get ahead, so you have something to play for. And if Deadly is shut down, I think it can be kind of hard to play.
And finally, Trouble, how do you think about these comps? I mean, obviously, Goldborg coming in preferring Fnatic. Do you agree, or do you kind of err on the side of XL?
I kind of really do tend to go towards the side of XL just because they have the Gnar on the top lane. I feel like Orome wants to sort of run it down in a good way up the top lane. He does have the Graves as well that can do pretty good damage, but the Sion is extremely tanky. And we've seen situations where the 2v1 can commence. They can go for the very cheeky red buff into Wraiths and then TP back into lane, try to commence onto the 2v1, which is extremely hard to deal with, especially if you are on the sort of BTXL with the Sion right there. He survives very easily. I do actually, nah, screw this. I like the Fnatic Rising composition much more. It's just much easier front to back to play.
You were trying. I commend you.
I was trying. I'm like, yes, I see that you're trying to cut Sion. No, Fnatic Rising.
Okay, I'm going to hand it over to our guys on the casting desk. It's going to be Hiprain and Orcs for our first game of the series.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the casting desk. It's been a long week off, but we're finally getting ready to go back into the NLC action here. And this is the long-awaited game. I think this is the game that we've all been, getting by, waiting for this to happen. And we are finally going to see Fnatic Rising versus BTXL. I heard a lot of positives from both comps, realistically, on the desk. Leaning a little bit more towards what Fnatic have got, as they can kind of just blindly run into them. But I want to hear your thoughts on this, comp, Orcs.
Yeah, so I think the thing with Fnatic's composition is they've got some really powerful tools, very easy to execute in those team fights. If you have Sound charging forwards, if you have Leona diving forwards, you should be able to follow up with a Shockwave. My only concern is, they are a 2-carry composition. If Febiven or Bean misplay, if they're out of position, if they get caught out, that's basically the team fight over. As long as Fnatic Rising can set themselves up properly and don't allow that to happen, they should be clean sailing as long as they get some early momentum. But again, when we get to those team fights, I want you watching the likes of Advian in particular on this Rel and whether they can get to Febiven and Bean. Because if those two go down, they're going to struggle. If they fall behind early even, they can struggle.
Well, defensive lines are starting up here for both of the teams. No early invades, no early shenanigans either way. Mid waves will start to crash, and the mid laners showed us some mana flow stacks.
Good
Yes,
start.
Observer, they both have mana flow.
Maybe it might be an OP rune. And speaking of OP runes, a lot of phase rush in this mid jungle.
Speedy boys. And Robot Girl.
Not sure how big of a fan I am of the phase rush on Udyr. It is kind of like... It is a fairly common option, but I feel like you already have enough movement speed.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I've seen people like Trick2G do it with the Phoenix stance. Obviously, this is the typical build. You do go Phoenix stance on Udyr now.
I know people were going
stance,
Conqueror.
You're not
We're going
wanting to
Conqueror a lot more initially.
Yeah, I definitely think I prefer the Conqueror because you kind of, like you said, you get so much movement speed off the bear stance, but this one does allow you to kind of get in with a bear slap. Once that stun wears off, you've now built up the phase rush, and you just kind of remain on top of them for another rotation while the bear stance comes up. That's the reason most Udyrs like to take it, but I do think the Conqueror is still better. I think I agree with you on that though.
I don't know. I mean, I think the extra movement speed is pretty valuable, especially as with Camp Tank can get range easily.
Yeah.
I think Conqueror is more for stun and fire synergy thing. But either way, lots of mobile mobility coming in from those runes. Pretty slow start so far. Just seeing both junglers clearing on the opposite side. Maxi pathing downwards, Raccoon pathing upwards. See, the wave is pushed in by Arome here. And this is going to bounce back. That's why there's potentially a vulnerability for Pride. But doesn't seem like Arome's too sore and potentially punishing that. Instead, he wants to just establish priority, allow his jungler to pick up the scuttle. And we're just going to see a trade on either side in this situation.
Yeah, neither jungler are looking to contest these scuttles. It's just map traded. Both the junglers have pretty much finished their clears. Marcoon does have his Krugs up, so he has to go do that, while Maxi has finished up a full jungle camp, so Krugs will respawn sooner. This is what Gulborg was hitting on about the Udyr versus the Graves, is the Udyr does clear faster, and now able to move into his topside jungle and clear back downwards again, and just slowly amount a lead over Marcoon. And Arome, though, in the meanwhile, is getting a nice amount of bullying done to Pride. Got a pretty significant CS lead starting to build up here in this top lane.
Udyr is now on this side of the map. Ping's actually coming out. They expect this, and there is good ward coverage. So yeah, they've seen Maxi. They've got the ward coverage. It means Arome is safe to continue to push in this position, and it's mirrored on the other side. So both teams, full information, these junglers. Neither of them should fall prey in this situation. All it's really going to do is alleviate a bit of pressure. Deadly and Advian were getting shoved in, obviously. They feel a bit more confident to push up, knowing the jungler's on their side of the map.
I think what we should do is talk a little bit about the regular season for both of these teams and their performances so far. Because this is not the Fnatic Rising we've had for so many splits. This is a new Fnatic Rising. There are a few members hanging around in the likes of Pride, but for the most part, this is a very different Fnatic. They play a very different style with the disappearance of Magic Felix and X-Maddie. You got Bean and Febby joining onto this team. I think they're still a very solid team, but I don't think they look as dominant as they did previously. Where this XL, I would argue this is the strongest XL we've had.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with XL, I definitely agree for the most part, but then you got to think about, you know, XL had that split where they dominated and they won every single game until the finals when Fnatic reverse swept them. And vice versa, you know, this was obviously in the UKLC rather than the NLC, but it was still these two teams competing. I'm going to hold up thought we're going to have a bit of a fight.
Yeah, Rux is actually getting a fair amount of damage put into him. I've been also getting poked out here, but that is the end of that little skirmish in the bot lane. As let's be careful for the gravity field. It's going to get caught out by it, but
I mean, in the last NLC split, obviously Fnatic was very dominant, but prior to that, in the UKLC, still up against XL, and XL had some really strong regular splits. And Fnatic had moments where there were question marks. The big thing with Fnatic is they always came through clutch in the end. That has been the consistent thing. And XL have been known to sometimes drop the ball when it comes to those clutch moments. So our expectations that XL are stronger here aren't too crazy. It's whether Fnatic with this new roster will have sorted out their issues for playoffs and whether they'll be able to deliver in this clutch series and be able to take the whole thing. Because the expectation is that they have been doing that, but different team.
I think both of these teams actually have a lot of expectations, a lot of weight on their shoulders. Fnatic, you know, the expectation is for them to remain at the top, to hold their spot as the most dominant team in the UK. Well, in the the NLC, they were the UK strongest. So they kind of brought that over with them into the NLC and had a legacy to drag along with them, where XL were always the team that came second in the first split of Fnatic's arrival on the scene. Actually, they didn't even come second. XL have always been so close but so far. And the expectation for them to finally take that win and kind of reclaim their spot at the top is there for them.
That's the thing. Last time they got a win, I was on the roster.
Yeah, that's tragic, but you have to talk about it every time. But yeah, it is a fact about XL. They haven't won since you were their support.
Yeah, and that feels like such a stale talking point at this point, but it's true. It's been such a long time, and it's like we've had these great rosters, we've had these talented players, we've had these moments where like, yeah, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be the split. Oh, Fnatic look better than ever. Doesn't come through. And it kind of must get pretty frustrating at this point for the organization as well.
I'm gonna annoy you a little bit here. I think
Hit
this
me
is
with it.
probably one of the strongest XL bot lanes we've ever had.
No, I mean,
How do you answer that one, Dan?
I don't know. In fairness, like, it was a different time. Everyone's gotten better since then. But relatively, you know, me and Inax, there was no competition. You know, Deadly and Advian, they've been challenged. So that's all I'm saying. But in all serious, you know, like, even comparing to them, the caliber of players playing in the league now is wildly different. I mean, Febiven is in the league. Rome's in the league. It's wild. So there's so much talent on the rosters, which is why there is this pressure for them to perform.
Yeah.
Now, I've had
A lot of expectations, but as we head back onto the Rift and take a look at the current game state, Maxi was spotted out by Marcoon and is currently on a ward, so they have complete knowledge of where he is. Both of these junglers are itching to start up this Rift Herald, but not going to be able to find that opportunity. And we might be in for a little bit of a skirmish here as Arome about to gnar out, slams Pride into the wall. Marcoon's coming in, blinds Maxi. There's going to be a knockup. Rux is also roamed over though, so Fnatic do have the numbers advantage, while Deadly and Advian are actually moving up as a duo to try and help with this. Deadly's going to head back towards the wave as Bean's been baited out from the safety of the bot lane, and Advian's coming up through the mid lane. It looks like the Herald has started up. Maxi working away at it, but Marcoon is in the area. We're in for some action now, Orcs.
if Fnatic on point for Advian, he's looking for an engage here.
Can he
Really
find
bad
it though?
Fnatic Rising.
There's the Magnet Storm. He's getting engaged onto. The Gravity Storm is there. The Shockwave pulls him in, as that's going to be first blood secured by Rux. Rift Herald taken as well as Pride charges through. Fnatic do get themselves this first objective.
I don't understand the hesitation from BTXL. You know, you're collapsing around them. You have the rel, you have the engage opportunity. And again, if you don't want to go for that fight, that's fine. But why are you there? Because it clearly looked like, everyone can see that looked like they were setting up for the fight. And they just didn't pull the trigger. And Fnatic went, well, fine, we'll kill your rel. Your engage is now gone. Fight's ours. And they pick up the Herald on the back of that, as well as a kill. Did unfortunately go to Rux there, but definitely won't complain about that one.
Yeah, I think that's the silver lining there for XL. His first blood was onto Rux, so just a little bit more gold in the support's pocket. Now we might see a bit of attention now shift towards this dragon. With the fact that Fnatic do have the Rift Herald in their pocket, does mean though it can put that Herald down to make a sore spot, make a point where they can fight from. Bean's actually made his way up towards this top lane on a delayed swap, so XL are going to just take this and take the dragon.
Yeah, and I actually like this because it gives up the dragon, but that's not a massive concern. What it does give is, it means that Rome is going to be quite late to lane. It gives an opportunity for Pride to pick up some farm when he's not there. And also it gives this window for Bean to shove in, and now they have the potential to threaten with the Herald, get some plates, get some gold onto that Tristana.
And I mean, Tristana plus Herald, that is the tower taking terror. Already picked the plate up for Bean. And here comes the Herald. So they are going to look to try and take this tower down. Advian, Mading Storm's coming up somewhat soon. Deadly does have the Feather Storm available. A lot of storms coming in. As XL watching out for the 4 members getting pulled in, as Bean's actually going to take a tower shot and a little bit of damage. XL actually able to dissuade the dive and survive it.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic were playing with fire there, honestly. Diving against a Rel Zayat does not sound like a fun time, but ultimately, Fnatic got 4 plates. They got what they want. They can't really complain. We've got a decent CS lead on Bean, and the gold lead now between the 80 carries, if we can have a look, should be pretty significant. So, yeah, about 700. So definitely what Fnatic wanted. And actually, I think them going for the dive was maybe a little bit naive. So probably better that they ended up backing away from it.
However, the tower is only on 1 plate up in that top side. There's 2 minutes until those plates fall off, and Bean can just constantly shove it with his charge. And also with the charge as well, you also have a bunch of damage you can put into that turret. So you have to be very cautious about the ability for that tower to crumble at any moment. Bebby going to pick up the blue buff just to continue the shove hat tricks. Got the Verdant banner on the Lost Chapter as he actually gets caught out by the shockwave here. Febby looking just to trade back in as the Fade Rushes gets traded. And both these mids move just walk away from each other.
Yeah, I mean, set up to be a lot more interesting with the shockwave coming in, but it's like, nah. Just both mid laners been farming really well, but not too much to come from that matchup for now. Do see Bean swap back on the bot side. Not too worried about getting the first tower. Ultimately, you can get that whenever, but the thing that is going off in a minute is plates. And you head to the bot side, 5 plates up and available in that tower. Even just a small bit of alone time from the Tristana would lead to getting a couple of plates. But Arome, he hasn't actually swapped up top. He's waiting. He wants to punish his Tristana.
And Narbat is going down, though. So they have found Rux, actually. They know where he is. They've got the blind coming in from Marcoon. Is just going to put a little bit of damage in. Stun lands onto Advian, and Arome actually went for the reset. So XL, that is going to be that done. Rome's going to have to teleport back towards the top lane to defend that tower. And that was just the teleport burnt there.
Yeah, look at the impact there. So we actually saw hat-tricks roam down as well. On top of the fact that Arome spent a ton of time bot lane, and because of that wasted time, he had to TP top to defend the tower. So although there weren't any kills from Fnatic Rising on the back of that, XL committed a lot of resources to that play, and they didn't really get anything off it. In fact, it's Fnatic who are being favored. That you can even see that Featherman's shoving mid in. He's managed to get a plate. So all in all, just a bit of a whiff from XL with that setup.
And this could be that crumble you were talking about. Something we've seen from XL time and time again. Especially in, or 2 seasons ago, where XL did get reverse swept.
Yeah, and first tower blood gun on the side as well. Obviously not the target you want ideally, but he was suffering from quite a big CS deficit from the Gnar, and that's really helped keep him relevant. You see across the board, we've got gold leads for Fnatic Rising other than the top lane. And the fact that that gap between Arome and Pride just got shortened a substantial amount means Fnatic feeling comfortable. 1,200 gold up in this matchup. Next Dragon spawning in a minute. You can see both teams moving down towards the bot side of the map, trying to establish this vision. Fnatic definitely doing better in this department, but Marcoon's going to move through and try and clear some out.
Key thing to note is top lane teleports. Arome, obviously, like we said earlier, with that attempted pick onto Bean, had to blow his teleport to defend the tower. Pride has his teleport. Pride also has the onslaught as well, so can just bolt down towards the lane if he needs to, or towards the dragon if he needs to. So XL will have to be a little careful in that department. There's Hatrix and Febby just going to go for a little bit of a trade again with each other. Febby going to want to hold that shockwave for this, well, at least for the threat for the dragon.
And BTXL, if they're contesting this, I want to see a more explosive entry into the fight. If Advian is posturing to look for an engage, then go for that engage. I think they waited too long around that Herald, and that's what really cost them. But it looks like they've just actually given this up. Not even looking to contest this dragon, and On the one side, you don't need to. You don't need to contest this dragon. It's not a big deal. It's the first for Fnatic. It's a long way away from Seoul. You're not too worried, and it's actually led them to be able to move the pressure towards the top side.
Oh, here they go. Jumping in, got the Magnet Storm. Beans just getting locked down, but able to flash away. Teleports are coming in as the Feather Storm gets layered out, and Deadly secures the kill. Teleports are joining as the Shockwave's going to land. Deadly has nowhere to go, but able to survive for a very long time. Finds himself a double kill before dying as Hatrix flashes away from the charge. And it is a 2-for-1 trade in favor of XL.
Yeah, but it's also a 2-for-1 trade in terms of teleports. Arome didn't have his, and he's able to take a tower as a result. So a massive win for BTXL there. Up in gold, up in objectives, and winning out over that TP advantage. And ultimately, just a great pickup from Deadly and Advian, being caught unawares. And he nearly gets away. And there's a moment here, if you watch, the CC gets layered, the root doesn't quite catch onto Bean, so he buys some time. Deadly is forced to ult to chase. And at that point, I was thinking maybe Fnatic Rising could turn this round, but Deadly manages to survive for just a little bit too long. You see Febiven come in and just get blown up almost instantly, and then the disengage comes out. And again, 2 teleports thrown down there from Fnatic, and they still end up losing out on both sides of the map. So BTXL answering back to the earlier play and equalizing in terms of goal.
That Kraken Slayer auto, enough to turn that lovely. Is Pride is just threatening, trying to get Hatrix to cancel his recall, but Hatrix going to call his bluff, or was in the shop and didn't notice. One of the two. Is going to go back to base and got himself his Leandry's finished up. As well as that tier now fully stacked, so Archangels could be on the way. Rome is doing a lot of damage here into the back of Pride. Stride Breaker slow, force the ulti out.
And this is one of the problems, is that there's going to come a point in this game where the Scion, they just struggle to hold against the Gnar. Like, there'll eventually be a point where Scion just deals no damage to the Gnar. And that percentage HP does become really relevant as the game goes on, so could potentially be an issue. Fnatic Rising managed to get their mid lane tower, open the map up a bit and push themselves just a tiny bit ahead in terms of gold, but they aren't really able to translate into anything.
Look at the hunt for Arome, although Febby needs to be careful as he gets Gale forced onto by Marcoon.
I think they were trying to get in range for the stun from Advian to connect, but just a little bit of an overreach, and especially Febiven has flash, so not too much chance of that happening for now. You can see that BTXL just letting Deadly farm up in the side lane, try and catch up some of that CS difference against Bean, but Bean, he's taking towers, something that Tristana does so well.
Yeah, Bean, you know, they're sure they're letting Deadly farm up, but Bean's also quietly farming up. Actually got a CS lead over him, has a gold lead over him off the back of the fact he's able to take so many turrets. So, Bean in a pretty good place here on this Tristana. You see, both of these AD carries have got their Kraken Slayers finished up. Had them finished for a little while now. And Deadly building towards that Essence Reaver, getting closer and closer towards it. Just needs the crit cloak and a little bit more gold. And that is donezo. Curious to see if Bean's going to go for the Phantom Dancer or the Storm Razor here. The items he's got. Oh, that's not Storm Razor. Sorry. Longsword isn't Storm Razor. It is PD then. There it is. It finishes the PD.
Answered it yourself. There you go. And going to see the Essence Reaver from Deadly not too long. A lot of items coming in. Dragon up in a minute 10. Again, neither team is pressured to necessarily contest this one, because second Dragon, you're not at that soul point, not at that soul. But I feel like at this point in the game, starting to get the item spikes coming in, could well see a contest come in. Because, you know, the scaling on both sides of the team. And when that's the situation, being able to stack those dragons is important. Engage coming in.
Yeah, the charge is coming down as well. Deadly has to be so careful. Gets Buster shot to safety from Pride. There's the slam back. There's the Magnet Storm. This fight is so messy. And XL are the ones coming out on top. Shockwave, though, turns that back around. Febby catches 4 onto the Zenith Blade, looking for Rugs. Arome has to flash out from that one. And somehow Fnatic turn that back around in the face of XL. They're going to get the dragon off the back of that one.
I mean, you say somehow, I say Featherman single-handedly carried them in that team fight. A little bit of a whiff on the opener, honestly. Rook's not connecting well, but Featherman finds a 4-man Shockwave And that'll do it. That is literally what you need in that situation. And it's enough. Not to crush the team fight by any means, but they pick up a couple of kills and now should just easily be able to take this dragon.
Yeah, there's going to be no contest on this dragon. That's the second one over to Fnatic. But some one closer towards that Ocean Soul as well. But let's have a look at that fight once again.
Yeah, so Engage comes in here initially from Brooks and actually miscalculates with the dash so the ult doesn't connect. A little bit messy in this great teleport in with a Mega Gnar from Arome. Looks really solid into the Magnet Storm, but it's this Shockwave, because this is definitely BTXL favored, but they clump up around the ball. 4-man instant deletion on Deadly. And that was it. That was literally the difference maker. So Feb have been carrying that one, getting them that dragon. Now, BTXL have reset back on the map, and we'll just pick up that low HP mid tower. Did use Herald to get a chunk out on it. There's still a gold lead for Fnatic, and now a dragon lead as well.
But the gold lead isn't massive. And typically both of these teams have had big gold leads at this point in the game, in their games. So it's good to see these teams getting challenged by each other. At the moment, Fnatic, as far as the neutral objectives and the gold go, are up over XL. Although, with the fact that XL were able to get that second dragon, well, first dragon, I might have to hold that because another fight's breaking out here. They stand out Advian, but Advian just flashes away. Maxi trying to charge forwards, not going to find it. As Pride actually makes his way over with the ulti, catches onto Advian. Advian's going to get caught out. The shockwave this time only lands onto one. Arome jumps forwards. Pride trying to get that knock up, but not going to be able to find it. The Chaos Storm is cooking him, and he gets slowed by the Stride Breaker, the Slam, and he is down.
What is his committal to a rel? I really don't understand the thought process there from Fnatic Rising. The initial play is okay, sure, fine. You get the flash, great. Then Pride go in the aggro with the ult so close to tower. Even if they've killed rel, it's just so difficult to be able to disengage from that situation when you're so deep. And it wouldn't have been a weird trade. Advian for Pride is not a good trade, and even then they didn't get Advian. So just GG over committal, ended up being messy. And Fnatic getting a little bit overconfident with that lead, which is really not much at the moment, just 200 gold.
So we are in for a very scrappy game from both XL and Fnatic. As we take a look back at, just Pride's, frankly, greedy positioning, greedy attempt.
He's basically on the tower. It's a good Magnet Storm to try and just buy some time as well, but you know, BTXL fly in, and there's just no way for Pride to get out again here. Doesn't have flash, all already used to engage, and you know Fnatic Rising don't want to commit to a fight that close to the mid lane tower, so just a bit messy coming out from Fnatic Rising. This is something we've seen from them throughout the split. They haven't been full calm and collected throughout. They've had these huge moments, but it hasn't been clean sailing the whole time, which is what we typically expect from Fnatic Rising, especially when it gets late in the playoffs. That's the big thing, because regular season is a different ball game, but late in the playoffs, our expectation is clutch play from Fnatic.
Well, that dragon spawning up in 1 minute 50. Don't expect any action around that area for the moment. Just a little bit of trading and vision. However, Pride is going to get a bit of free time in the top side of the map. Nobody actually here to answer him out, so only going to lose a couple of minions as he's not actually overstaying. Yeah, it just looks like Fnatic now going to clear out some of this vision that was placed down by XL. XL looking just to spend up and cash in a little bit more gold before this inevitable dragon fight. Bean closing in on that Infinity Edge, got the longsword and the pickaxe in the inventory, while Deadly actually a little bit of a ways away from his next item. Just sitting on the Crit Cloak for the moment. Max is able to strip some of the jungle away from XL as well.
Fnatic Rising in control in terms of vision. It's on BTXL to try and phase check, but they have a rel to do that for them. Gonna push up mid, force Fnatic Rising to respond, and this gives them a window to move over and contest the vision. So B moves over to catch the wave. BTXL can now start clearing out this vision, and they have control of the river critically. I feel like are potentially looking for an engage here, but Arome is very close to Mega, so I would be cautious about playing that game. It's still 30 seconds till Dragon, so ideally Fnatic want to get the Mega procced and then back away, but Arome's looking.
Yeah, Rome is looking for it, but he's going to look to try and dodge away on everything being thrown at him. The Mega's proc to Rome's half health. And XL, that was kind of their moment as Markun actually slides in and just glides back out. Bean takes a big chunk. Rome can just heal back off the honey fruit. Fnatic, AD carry's been chunked somewhat here. Not devastatingly. And Febi's still got that shockwave available. Hasn't got a level 16, he's at level 15 at the moment, but jumping in onto Deadly. Deadly's going to throw out the Feather Storm to survive as the Solar Flare collects onto a couple of members. Shockwave only hits onto Avian, but those feathers just rip through Pride and take him down. Maxi loses his life as well. 2 for none in favor of XL, and actually just barrel towards the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, jungler down, you can go for this play. They're dragging for Fnatic Rising, but as long as they don't get the 4th, it's not a big issue. Baron, a much bigger prize in this situation. Now, you can see Teviran recalling to TP back in, Bean and Rux moving over. They need to try and stop this, or at least get a couple of kills to thin out the Baron buffs, but it's going so quick.
Rux is making his way, but doesn't have the shockwave, gets slammed into the wall. And they are chasing for the kills. They are chasing for the close. Already taken out Bean. Rux now on the run. Markun just flashes over the wall, but Rux, there's nowhere to go, mate. Markun's going to take him out. With 2 members down and the Baron in the pocket of XL, they're going to look to spend this gold and get onto the map.
And I mean, they're just so strong right now. A Rome on 3 completed items there. But if you the replay, and I mean, the problem with this fight is that you don't have Prides engage with the ultimate. Maxi flashes in just to get the cleansing ult from Deadly, but the rest of the team can't follow. Bean and Febiven can't really get into this backline, and you have 4 high damage champions just hammering these tanks. Maxi and Pride get absolutely shredded because obviously you have the Graves, the Victor, and the Xayah, and then here the Baron's gone, and unfortunately they don't have the information, know it's gone that soon, but the Stride Breaker comes in for the slow, the stun, the connection. Even with that great buffer on the rocket jump from Bean, it's just not enough to get out. And this is just even worse. It's not only the fact that they get the Baron, but they get those extra kills, which means BTXL can go straight back on the map and start applying pressure, as you can see when we get back to the live game. Tower going down. It looks like that mid one isn't going to hold up too much longer.
Yeah, Deadly finished up his Mortal Reminder as his 3rd item as well, off the back of that. Just from the crit cloak, as Deadly has to use the ulti to dodge away on the shockwave by Febi. Mid lane tower is going to crumble to a Rome.
Good ultimate from Deadly, but the shockwave is a much shorter cooldown. So that kind of makes BTXL feel a little bit cautious about over pushing again. They have got those last added towers in the mid and bot lane. There's still 1 remaining in the top lane, so could potentially move towards there to get that last one, get yourself a significant gold lead, and then likely the next Baron is when they'll be looking to crack the base.
Fnatic are getting some time though. And you look at Bean, who is 3 items in onto the Tristana, 288 CS, and you can see the gold difference over time. Fnatic being in control for the majority of it, but has pulled back off the back of those plays, and Febi has to be careful. He's going to get caught out by the Magnus Storm, slammed in. The Attractor Repel's not going to quite hit, and that is going to be the flash from Featherman down. Because Rock's now getting slowed out by the laser beam, but he's able to escape.
Yeah, I mean, Featherman just overstepping there. Felt like he could get away with that one. He gets punished. Now flashless puts you in an even more vulnerable state. But for now, I think BTXL are just playing this one slow, using the rest of their Baron buff to try and get this tower taken away as much farm as possible. Rome shoving a mid, and that forces 3 members down, so this should be enough to take that tower.
Yeah, it should be easy pickings now. We got Markun guarding any flanks as well to make sure that it is a freebie. And there it is. All of the outer towers now down for XL. They finally pulled themselves ahead in this game, and it is a pretty significant lead they've now started to grow for themselves. 5,000 gold. Dragon up in 1 minute 20. Now, XL do need this one because they got a bunch of towers and that Baron off the back of that last big play. But they did give Fnatic their 3rd dragon. And Ocean Soul is going to make Pride a little bit harder to kill. Same for Maxi, so
yeah,
looking to pick that one up.
I mean, that's the issue now, is that XL, they've got all those towers, they've got a nice big goal lead over 5,000, but they're nowhere near Soul. They are going to get picked, though, pretty easily on a Rux. So makes it pretty hard for Fnatic Rising to contest this dragon now, because obviously the Sightstone is on Rux with no vision, very difficult to move in. And ultimately for Fnatic Rising, you don't need this dragon. You know, you'd love to have it, but you don't need it. BTXL are miles away from a soul. Just give it up, sacrifice it, wait for another opportunity to fight. And BTXL, realistically, they aren't going to be able to impact the map that much until they get this next Baron. That's kind of what they're waiting to spawn. They'll pick up the dragon in the meantime, but for now, Fnatic Rising just get a little bit more time. Obviously, Tristana will scale up to have a huge amount of range thanks to her passive. Not as much as it used to be, though, which is one of the issues. And I feel like in this game so far, it's kind of been difficult for Bean to really get significant amounts of damage down, because anytime he's sort of close enough to the Ortwing, he's within flash, you know, CC range, the likes of a Rome or Advian.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been the problem for Bean here, but Dragon's getting secured by Deadly, and it looks like they are just going to secure Rux as well as a Rome. Stride breakers forwards isn't going to be able to slam Maxi into the wall, but they find themselves a kill on the support, and with 1 minute until the Baron's up, that just gives XL a little bit more breathing room to shift their vision up towards that Baron area to secure themselves that one, or at least secure themselves a solid fight.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that was just a really bad play from Fnatic Rising. There is no way you're getting all the way to Dragon. Rux already got caught out once in almost the same position, just in that red side jungle. Why go for the same play again when you know that BTXL have established more vision? There's no way they're contesting that Dragon. It's never happening. So what they should have done is when Rux respawned, he should have gone top side, got some vision down around the Baron, potentially a couple of wards in places that aren't frequently swept. And on the back of that, they could have been in a really good spot. You know, you get that vision down early, BTXL missed a couple of wards with their sweepers, and then you're able to push in and actually contest the Baron. But instead, they just end up giving more gold to BTXL, and now they're in a difficult position once more where they have to face check for visions. So, just really questionable.
Yeah, it really was. Now, Rux flashed over the wall. Pride looking to jump in. It looks like that is going to be it for the moment. Rome nard out. Fnatic can turn this in to a bit of a controller turnaround of the vision in favor of them around this Baron area. They actually are able to place a couple of wards down. Bebby will lose his Banshee's Veil. As Pride's actually looking to charge in onto multiple members. Only catches onto Advian though. The gravity field slows him down. Pride now gets stride breakered onto by Arome. Gets that boomerang off as well to get a bit more of a slow. However, they'll survive this one as Marcoon remounts up.
And the problem is those two big ults being down, the Leonas and the Scions, limits the engage options for Fnatic Rising. There's not much the front line can do in this situation. And the backline needs space from that. They need that pressure to come out. So Fnatic Rising being forced in pretty deep. The wave clear from BTXL going to allow them to push through and clear out the vision that was laid down there by Fnatic Rising. And once more, it's again forcing them to face check into you.
Oh, Arome gets a slam, only catches onto one. That's going to force Pride to flash away, but Pride just slowed down permanently there. Is able to survive. That's a very, very tanky Scion. I says 2 Ocean Drakes does have a little bit of additional healing.
Once again, though, a great jump from Bean to get out of, honestly, a pretty sketchy situation there. Great ult comes in.
This one around. They got the shockwave. That's going to be the end of the mid lane. The Victor down. Advian now looking to get knocked up as well. Hasn't got the flasher. He will lose his life, but he just goes in for the Magnet Storm. But Bean gets himself the double kill. Romy has to hop over the wall. And Fnatic just flip it back around. They're going to look to get their hands onto this Baron Nashor as Arome just trying to play nuisance, trying to play interrupt. But Rux is going to gatekeep any openings, any opportunities for them to come in here. Baron's half health, and Rux actually jumps in onto Marcoon. Arome has been spotted out, and Deadly's making his way over. Baron's going to continue to be aggroed by Febby, so it doesn't get the big reset off, and Pride can take a lot of damage in the return here. Coming in from Deadly, he's got that armor shred thanks to the Mortal Reminder. Or Lord Dominic, sorry. Pride will lose his life. Baron is actually stopped in XL. It goes from a pretty poor situation to a slightly better one.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it was actually a really solid engage there from Rux, finding hat-tricks out, getting the pick, and then they managed to translate it, and they're trying to apply pressure to Baron, but the problem is with Marcoon up, they don't want to flip it. They don't want a 50-50. And BTXL were comfortable to challenge, and now they've started up. They are getting pretty low on HP. I think Fnatic can just push through here, but they seem so afraid of the Mega Knot. That's the thing, zoning in the way. Baron just goes over to BTXL. So despite getting a positive play from Fnatic Rising, really strong engage in that team fight, which we're going to see again here. BTXL went out overall, and Rock's just beautiful. Ult comes in. A little bit of disrespect from Hatrix, doesn't flash the ult. Honestly, should have there. And then in the following engage, CC lockdown comes through, and it's 2 easy kills for Fnatic Rising. The problem is, jungler's still alive. Arome still alive is incredibly strong. And here they are so scared of this Mega Gnar, and the fact that Marcoon can flip it. They try for the kill on him. They aren't able to catch him here. And now they're in this uncomfortable position where Febiven doesn't want to let the Baron reset. But I mean, it's basically full HP anyway. And then Pride just gets caught out to the side. So just scattered decision-making from Fnatic Rising there. And BTXL, after a little hiccup, are back in control once more.
And Pride now, once again, getting jumped onto. Arome slams him into the wall, but the team aren't really ready to follow up here, so they're just used all of their CC. Deadly not caught out by that Shola Flare, but the Shockwave lands onto the 2 frontliners, and Arome rejoins the fight, gets Buster shot out by Bean. Marcoon just trying to do his best to zone Pride. Speaking of Pride, that fight kind of just bruised a few Prides. Nobody actually goes down. And not a while, well, a little while ago, Ox, you were saying, you know, Fnatic, they don't have to worry about XL getting the soul anytime soon. Now they have to worry about the soul. Both of these teams are on soul point.
It's been a while since I said that, and things have changed quite a bit. Control maintained by BTXL. 8,000 gold lead nearly. And Fnatic Rising just struggling to answer them. I mean, the engage there wasn't the greatest from Arome, purely onto Pride, but you could see how threatened Febiven was. Marcoon dives in, nearly assassinates him, and again, Fnatic Rising only have 2 carries in their composition. If one of them dies, is basically fight over. So Febiven and Bean have to be playing these perfectly, and Febiven is flash forced once again. He has Zonyas, he has Banshees, but still struggling to find safety in these team fights, especially with this gold deficit.
Yeah, and Febby had that one amazing Shockwave, but after that, so far the Shockwaves only landed onto the frontliners or single targets and not been that impactful onto these carries. Now, Marcoon is on a ward, so he has to be very worried here.
Yeah, I feel like BTXL learned their lesson with that 4-man Shockwave. I'm going to let that happen again. I mean, that tower's just gone. It goes so quickly. And the problem is this gold deficit, I just struggle to see Fnatic taking a fight in this situation. The inhibitor just gone in an instant almost.
I mean, the one thing they don't really have to worry about as far as the gold deficit goes is their AD carries are equal on items. You got 4 items on both the mid laners, so the damage dealers are there. And Pride is pretty tanky. So the gold lead, I wouldn't say is irrelevant, but it's not as bad as it would be normally when you see a 9,000 gold lead.
Yeah, but the problem is, you know, if Bean dies, he doesn't, like, if he trades 1-for-1 with Deadly, they lose. Because not only is there Deadly, who's equal in items, there's Hatrix, obviously in the mid lane, equal with Febiven. There's also Marcoon and Arome, who put out a ton of damage. There's just too many threats on BTXL. And, you know, as you said, Pride can function without gold, Maxi can function without gold. But when it's 2 carries against 4, you just have to be playing perfectly. And Bean isn't at a point where you can 1v9. Febiven needs a huge Shockwave, otherwise it's just BTXL favored in these team fights.
It's a lot of Fnatic can function without gold, but they can't function without Bean. And that's the big problem they've got right now. So Bean has to play these fights very well. Level 17, so almost at the maximum range available. Has now finished up his full build. He's got the rapid fire cannon, so increasing that range even more so. At least for 1 auto attack every now and then.
But that's the thing, it's back in the day, before Tristana got a ranged nerf, it was much more significant. You were getting up to like 700 range in the very late game. It's not that point anymore. She's 653 right now without rapid fire cannon. And, you know, that's big, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't sort of alleviate you from being involved in these team fights. It's not like even a champion like Jinx still has to potentially get in range of stuff, but even then, she has longer range on those rockets. And you can just see in all these team fights, Bean has to play it so hesitantly, has to be so quick on the rocket jump, and it's just because there's so much damage flying around, so many threats. But now, though, BTXL getting control of this bot side, jungle, looking towards this dragon, and we've had a lot of fights where we've said, Fnatic don't need to take this. Fnatic don't need to contest this dragon. This one they do. This is kind of the point where you give this one up and it really sort of hits critical mass. And getting back to the game becomes incredibly difficult.
Expect to see some action break out around this dragon. This is where we expect to see the action, but for now it is just a moment of respite. It's a bit calmer. as they are just catching these mid waves and walking away. XL do have the vision in favor of themselves around this area, though. So, well, around the Dragon Pit anyway. So they got that to work with. Deadly is actually starting to really crack through Pride's health bar. Rome's about to gnar out. This could be pretty worrying. Gets the slam back into the gravity field. The solar flare only collects onto one. Needs to be a miracle of a shockwave. Deadly has to pop the cleanse already. Rome's low HP. There's the shockwave onto two. Advian's going to lose a lot of health, but not going to go down. And Fnatic's health bars are just melting right now as Deadly is able to get so much work done unimpeded. Meanwhile, Rome going almost down as Bean has to jump over the wall. Health bars on both teams are painfully low, but nobody's dying yet. And it looks like they're just going to have to reset before that Dragon, only losing one in that team fight.
Yeah, and the support is going to have a shorter respawn time with lower levels. Questions whether this is going to be enough. TP comes back in from a Rome, so he's ready to fight. You see both Solar and his Fnatic Rising TP, and they're looking for it.
Yeah, being isolated, has to jump away, so he is out of there as Pride jumps forwards. Forces Advian to jump off the horse and move around as there's hat tricks on that flank. Rock's not up for another 4 seconds, and this is just going to be Soul for XL. This could just be their moment as Arome's actually about to gnar out once again, slowed down. So won't be able to get close enough towards it, but the Baron is up, the Soul is in the pocket of XL. And Fnatic, they know they need to fight this, they know they need to contest this. As Rux has now rejoined the team. Solar Flare available to him, Buster Shot almost up for Bean, but Bean has no summoner spells. Same for Deadly, though.
At this point, though, full build on Arome, full build on Hatrix, full build on Deadly. Yes, we do have a situation where Bean is incredibly strong, but all of Axtella is strong right now. Baron's being rushed here, though. Mark Boone doesn't have vision on it yet.
I don't think Markin can get there in time. It's taken away. That's Baron secure for Fnatic.
Watch Advian.
Advian could just come in, though. Big Magnet Storm, big Shockwave. In return, these jungle chokeholds are detrimental to both teams. Fnatic able to get away with murder there, realistically, taking that Herald, taking that big Herald, the Baron.
Ocean Soul, 9k gold lead, and they literally just take Baron from in front of you. That should never be happening, ever.
We are now getting to the point where the gold lead is not as important because a lot of people are approaching max build.
It's definitely less important, but there's still, you know, Featherman's still missing a full item.
Yeah.
There's still a full item missing from Pride, from Maxi. It's still got some relevance. Obviously, gold leads become less relevant as the game goes on anyway, but even so, like, BTXL have looked stronger in these team fights. There is no way that Fnatic should have been able to get that for free there, especially when there's the Ocean Soul. And now BTXL, much harder time to push because you're dealing with these Baron minions. Oh, Fnatic starting to feel more confident.
Yeah, Bean, level 18. That is the maximum range. He's able to pump out a fair amount of extra damage as well there, but not too much to really make a Rome sweat yet. Elder Drake coming up in 4 minutes. Orcs did hit, a Scoundrel hit on the desk, so we might be in for a bit of a Poggers Sloggers game between Fnatic and XL. That's where we're at right now.
Okay, Febiven now is full build. Picked up that Seraph, so mid laners, AD carries, both sort of dealing with as good as they're going to get. The tanks are a bit behind, but again, we've said they're not as gold reliant. It really is coming down to execution now. The Ocean Soul is definitely going to help, but it's hitting those critical ultimates. It's getting onto the key targets. And honestly, I'm just looking at Bean and Febiven and how they play these team fights, how easily they can survive. Because the thing is, even if, you know, Febiven and Bean manage to survive, them getting chunked out can sometimes just be enough so they can't continue the fight. There's no reason for Fnatic to necessarily fight at this point, though. You can see both teams kind of frustrating mid, but Dragon isn't up for 3 minutes, so you're happy just to give this up if you need to.
Or are they? XL.
No, this isn't NA. We don't do that around here.
This game is starting to feel incredibly clutch. Arome about to gnar out. Bebby holding on to that Banshees for as long as possible, but there is a flanking gnar. I don't think he was seen because that was a new ward placed down. Fnatic might be in trouble. Arome's trying to get the Nava in time. Here comes the Magnus Storm. He gets stunned up instantly. Advian is going to get taken out as Bean's able to find the kill. They do turn it around back on the Pride, though. It's a 1-for-1 so far as they are chasing. The Shockwave is absolutely massive by Febiven. 3 members caught out. Bean gets a triple kill. Markyun on the run. Bean won't go for the quad today. He is going for safety. Fnatic. What a team fight.
Beautiful execution there for Fnatic. Bean managed to somehow get away from the flanking Gnar, who's going to pay for his flank right now.
He is on the run, able to dodge away on a lot here, but Maxi will chase him down with the Ken tank, with the slows, and Rome gets a big old shield. Not going to Gnar out today as the shutdown's there for Febiven.
Right, hitting that point. Those tanks are feeling bulkier, and more importantly, Bean is just on fire this game, shredding anyone who comes near him, and the execution was there. You know, that engage came in, the flank from Arome, engage from Advienne, but Advienne ended up too deep with no support. Bean survives and was just able to shred, and now they'll pick up that top lane inhibitor, go for the reset, and they still have a minute and a half before that Elder Dragon.
And with the fact that Arome's base was staggered as well, really, really impactful. So let's have a look at that fight once again, though.
Yeah, so Arome comes in with the flank, and I thought this was looking great. But watch what actually happens here with Bean. It's kind of a bit disjointed. Arome bounces away and gets instantly stunned by Rux, which is beautiful. And Advian ends up alone by himself and decimated. And then Rux again, clutch play, gets the ult onto Hatrix. Hatrix stopwatches, but his flash just quite isn't up. He goes down, and that gives freedom for Bean to step up and get a triple kill, nearly a quadra. Credit to Rux in this team fight, though. Incredible play from him to find those moments, those periods where he can lock someone down and set Bean up for success. And obviously, we did get that little bit of a chase on Arome. But the thing is, this fight wasn't necessary. You know, BTXL didn't need to be there. They didn't need to start that fight, but they looked for it. And now they've lost control of Dragon.
Big thing to note as well is Bean actually sold boots and bought a Merc Scimitar. So this is now a 6-item Tristana. Markyun gets chunked out pretty heavily there as they actually do jump onto Bean. And Markyun, this isn't the survival Graves we've seen so much. It's the this is the Gale Force slightly assassin-y burst build. And XL, they're just ignoring Dragon. They look to shove out the wave. Maybe take themselves an inhibitor or two here. Fnatic may need to try and find their opportunity, but the gravity field's going to zone Rux away for the moment. And Deadly going to get a bit of free time. Arome, Nard out here. Rux looking for his opportunity, goes in for the free main slam. Bean has to cleanse with the QSS, but he's pulled in. He flashes away to safety. Hatrix takes out Rux. Advian pops the Magnus Storm. Maxi trying to do so much work as Pride is just being cut through. It's a double kill for Hatrix now. And Markyun slides for Bean, looking for the assassination. Is going to have to use the stopwatch. He may just lose his life as he's shut down by Featherman. But XL have the inside track onto the Fnatic base. They're going to have to teleport back towards their towers to save.
Wait, no, they're teleporting. He's going for the end.
For the back door. Febi's looking to turn this one. It's a base race in game number 1. The towers have already fallen inside the base, and Maxi's just playing complete interrupt. Febi is onto the Nexus. I don't think he can do it in time. He's going for this. It's chaos. XL take game number 1. Oh my lord.
What was that ending? I have no words. Honestly, it came down to the wire there. Both teams opting to go for the backdoor in that situation. The TP from Febi, but alone there just wasn't enough damage, and they weren't able to stop BTXL. I mean, there's so much to talk about. That final fight, it's chaos, complete chaos, and this is game 1. Wow, that wild. Wild.
That was such a wild ending, because I thought when you kind of just zoom out and look at that game in general, it's like XL played well, Fnatic played well. They were playing, you know, it was a very objective and kind of control-focused game where, you know, there were a couple of explosive team fights, but for the most part, it just looked like both these teams were playing controlled. And then someone just ripped the cord out and they went absolutely nuts and went in for the base race at the end. I hope this series continues to deliver on that.
I still don't understand how Bean survived in that last fight. Like, I literally thought he was dead there. I was certain he was going down, and then he lived, but then it didn't even matter. Still lost.
Honestly, an amazing game. An amazing game, number 1. We've been waiting for this series for oh so long, but there are still more to go. You know, it is a best of 3, but before that, we are going to throw to the break, so we'll see you after this.
Ain't I mistaken? I've been here before. All my body is aching, shaking to the core. Wherever you go is a heaven, 724. Now don't go be misbehaving, but I'm craving a little more. Can't keep my thoughts inside, don't want no place to hide. Can't get you off my mind, all night and day. You always played it cool, oh but I ain't no fool. I know you feel it too, so what do you say? Well, I'ma give it a try, baby. Don't let the summer go by, baby. No, I don't wanna say goodbye, baby. Baby, we should give it a try. Why don't we give it a try? Ain't no mistaken, I'm taken with you on my body.
Guys, what the hell was that ending? Like, I know that we were in like we were expecting something big out of this game. Like, I know we were expecting something big, but I feel like it should not have gone down to a base race at about a third Nexus HP in between the two teams. Like, I really feel like it shouldn't have got to that point, but it clearly did. XL take the first win. I felt like they deserved the win, but they were unable to close out, and Fnatic was still able to bounce back in team fights. It was a close game.
That was absolutely wild. And I think we hit the nail on the head a lot in the draft as well. We talked about, Deadly having to be ahead to carry the game. We talked about how Advien usually sticks in the lane, tries to get Deadly ahead, while Rux is going to roam around with Maxi. They got the first blood like this as well. And this is where it all just escalated. This is also a very beautiful replay as well, with Advien and Deadly clearly showing that they're playing for lane. A beautiful outplay by Deadly to get the double kill as well. It was just so well coordinated by BTXL, and Fnatic never let go. I think later on, Febby had a fantastic 4-man ultimate in the mid lane. And all in all, I don't necessarily think both teams have 100% their head in the game, because there were many oopsies from both sides. There were flashes that weren't burned when they should have been. There were Baron throws on top of Baron throws on top of Dragon throws. And I think that in general, this game completely delivered. Top side of the map for BTXL absolutely stomped. I'm glad to see Hatrix as well matching Fabian, because Hatrix has been a big question mark in general. He has been criticized as the weakest link in BTXL, but I think he showed up today.
Yeah, I was going to say, to me, one of the shining lights for BTXL came from the guy I least expected it from. Hatrix, already in the laning phase, he was winning out on the first 3 waves, so when it was crashing again, he had a slow push building back to him, and that's pretty impressive in a control mage matchup against Fepavin. And then just the pressure he laid out in team fights with the lasers. Bean never felt confident to actually jump in the fight, because Bean was a Fet AD carry, but he didn't have the same self-peel as the Sire did on Deadly, where he could just ultimate to dodge a shockwave. So it was just really clutch positioning, and I gotta agree with Trouble at the same time. Yes, there was a lot of mistakes from both teams where everyone is getting caught out. No one played perfectly, but in the end, League of Legends is not a game where you can play perfectly every time. It's about who's going to be the most consistent. It's going to be about who's going to be the one to execute on the composition that you build, and BTXL did it just a tad bit better. Like, it came down to a base race.
Come on, and if you can, I was about to say, if you can't actually execute a beautiful composition that your coach has just given you, just go and flip it on a base race. Works every time.
We flip it on a base race.
50% of the time, I'd say.
Yeah, for you, 50% of the time. It works in general 100% of the time. For us, watching, because someone wins.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Someone actually wins the game. Felt like no one was going to win that game for a little bit. I think we have Gilborg to break down a moment. I believe we are potentially looking at that final moment of the game.
Listen, I'll be real with you. I didn't watch this replay again. I wanted to see how it went down. Like, it's the base race, and I just want to go through it. So, in the beginning, I thought the tables had just completely flipped around. BTXL is stuck in Fnatic's baits, but Bean doesn't really get the W off, or the jump where you can actually lay at the CC and make sure that you won't get hit by it. And while they're just trading blows, like there's a front line dying from the side of BTXL and there's a front line dying from the side of Fnatic, and everyone's just trading even. Even Makoon goes in for this crazy play, but does not make it work. And then from Fnatic, I think the call is here, let's recall. You can see Bean is recalling, then he stops his recall here. Then he's just walking back and forward while Febiven is TPing. And you can clearly tell that comms right now, they're absolutely flustered. Because look at Bean, like if he had not cancelled his recall, he would just be back in base now and try to stop them here. But it goes down like this, where it's not really about who made the best call. I'd say, as Truffle said herself, it's a bit of a coin flip. And in the end, there was a man advantage from the side of VTXL, and they're able to close out the game. I still think there is a scenario with Bean recalling, or it being more, I don't know if I want to say calculated, because it is hard to make a calculated play when you are literally screaming about a base race.
Yeah, I'm assuming comms were really muddy, really muddy when it came to that base race. But what an ending! What an absolute ending! And that's only the first game of the night. Can you bloody believe it? That's only the first game of the night. Anyway, look, we need to take a breather. We're going to reset mentally and physically after that game. And when we come back, we'll have our second draft of the series.
The weather is nice, the time of our lives is happening before our eyes. There's no stopping us once we've started up in the morning light. We're free to run wild, laugh, dance, and smile. We're ready for this crazy ride. 'Cause there's no stopping us once we've started up, just to say goodbye. We are gonna run into the sun. We are gonna run into the sun. We are gonna run into the sun. We are gonna run. We're one step closer to our dreams that color bright like autumn leaves. Not looking back, we're not afraid to fly. We're forever young and we'll never die. We're one step closer to our dreams that burn as bright as we can see. We're gonna jump out, climb so high we reach the top of the endless sky. We
Okay, we are settling down for our second game of the day. Look, if it had everything that first game had, I think we're in for an absolutely ridiculous series. Now, if you guys saw, go to the XL Twitter, you can see the reaction that they had to the end of the game.
Yeah.
It kind of meant as much as it meant to us as it meant to them. Like that was big.
Actually, it was really funny how I said Markun had the perfect KDA. He was 209 at some point, and that was that one int moment where he dives 3 people to kill Bean, and he grabs it and he's like, he survived on 50 speed. And that just summed up the entire game because everyone would just get away with like a sliver of health.
That's definitely it was a game. That was a game of League of Legends.
All right, so I don't know how this is gonna go, but usually how it works out when I see a super close game and you're like, oh wow, that was super close between the two teams, like it's probably gonna be super close again. I always feel like one of the teams will just stomp the next game. It always feels like that. Like you never get the perfect follow-up to the perfect game that we just watched. And bans and adaptations are gonna come out. Funnily enough, the Sion is actually being banned out from the side of BTXL. I didn't think that it was giving them too many issues, but I guess it was just too beefy of a front line for BTXL to want to go through again.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to either see the Nag getting banned or first pick by Pride. Pride, I think, has a lot of success on the champion as well. And it did seem to be a huge problem for Fnatic to deal with. Because even when they were just focusing that one member who was extremely tanky, who was the Pride on Sion in the previous game, now was just such a pivotal factor for the rest of the fight. Now there's, again, a lot of big picks in there. There's the Rel, there's still the Udyr, there's the Caitlyn if they want to just to go for. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to also see the Nag, because Fnatic has first picked Pride before.
It's gonna oh yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say there's a lot of power picks open, but you are both incredibly correct. It is the first pick now for Pride. They are really prioritizing that top side of the map and giving him a matchup that he feels comfortable in. But I think Arome could very easily pick up Camille if he wanted to. Like Arome is a Camille player. He's got that in his arsenal. I know it gives you a little bit one dimension. I kind of gives you an extra, like a one dimension to your comp, but I think there's definitely something that's in the air. But the Wukong gets locked in here. I wonder if that is going to be for Arome, a Wukong top for Arome here, and it will be Nidalee in the jungle for Markun.
That is actually very well played on the first rotation from BTXL, because they're like, nah, is becoming a huge problem. I think Arome Flame Horizon Pride in the previous game on the Sion, so they want to shut him down. And how do you shut it down? You use 2 different types of damage, AD and AP. There's a squishy target that doesn't itemize defensively, at least at the start of the game, because he wants to go towards the strike breaker as fast as possible. Wukong is really hard to catch. Nidalee hurts a lot. They do have a really good composition for that.
All right, and with that,
I won't say anything, go book here. I won't say.
I was like, man, give me that goddamn rail. Why is it not coming through? I was like, you got the Nai, you got the Udyr, and I understand you have high priority onto the Tristana. It almost worked out. It was just really hard for him to play the other team composition where Hatrix just locked into Victor. But now he's just opting in for the Twisted Fate, and that kind of means like you have to throw out a silence ban here. You just have to. You can't go into that matchup against Featherwind. So that is one of the bans that you'll have to pinch down. But AD carry bans might come out from Fnatic Rising here, as well as support that both teams have not picked yet. So we might see some pulls be very much pinched here.
The thing is that even if you pinch the AD carry pool, you can get out the Jhin, you can get out the Aphelios, definitely get out the Caitlyn, fair enough. There's just so many crucial picks right here, because Leona can very easily stop the Twisted Fate. Rel will still stay relevant and will be in the game. Seraphine will not have a ban at all. So there's like so many strong champions just going through, which is insane actually, just to pinch down an ADC pool, which then can play so many other things. At the end of the day, he can just pick up the Ezreal, play extremely safe, and then play for the other lanes. But right here, what the BTXL composition screams to me is just completely stomp Pride on that Na. Never let the Na come out of lane. You've got 3 tools right there to roam towards tops and just not let him breathe at all.
Yeah, so I would like to see Silence Ban come out here. It's not actually going to come through. They're going to keep pinching the control mages here instead. I like the AD carry ban on Sire though, because Sire does what no other AD carry does, which is the self-peel you get from her ultimate instead, which we saw was a huge issue Fnatic Rising to play against. You can go down the AD carry pool as well, or you can say, all right, let's ban out the Rel. Advian was really good on this champion, and we didn't have any priority on it whatsoever. So let's see what the last ban is going to be from Fnatic before we round out that 4th pick from BTXL. It is actually going to be the Jhin that you talked about, Trouble.
Yeah, I'd like to see, instead of the Salas here, I would like to see the Syndra. Febivin had a fantastic game on the Syndra where he completely just stomped and dominated the mid lane. And one of the key factors is not just stealing or following the Twisted Fate around, he's completely stomping him in lane, completely pushing him forward back towards his tower, which means that he won't be able to run because he will miss waves, he will miss CS, he will miss that experience, he will fall behind. And Febivin was like really, but he pops off on Syndra, it's like insane. And I think it does fit the composition a lot as well because you can kite with the Syndra, you can move forward with the Syndra, you can do so many things, a lot of squishes on the side of BTXL as well to throw your spheres at, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and it's going to get locked in here, a 4th Fnatic Rising. That will be a pretty solid pick. Put pressure on the Twisted Fate, as you said. It's a really good pick in general for this particular composition, but we're going to wait for the support now. With Rel being locked in, Gragas is open, and that's something that Rux was, it did have banned away from Rux previously, so I wouldn't be super surprised, but then obviously Leona is something that he did just play into the Rel and felt comfortable seeing that as well.
It is just so good on versus Twisted Fate because if Hatrix chooses to go towards the bot lane, you see where he lands, you throw your ultimate there, he's instantly stunned, cannot move. So it's I think it's a great composition. Every single lane except the Na has a way to deal with the Twisted Fate teleporting in, whether it is the Scatter the Wake or if it is the Leona ultimate. Oh my god.
Raven.
No,
We're gonna have a fast game.
This is an interesting thing because against champions like Leona and the Tristana, displacement from usually the support would counter them really easily. But the standard side you get from Draven can actually stop the Zenith Blade, and you can stop the jump that's coming out from the Tristana. So you are definitely hard prioritizing playing for your AD carry, and it's also easy to do with a Twisted Fate who's going to be able to join from the mid lane. So it's clearly to tell what BTXL is going for here.
Okay, I think this is going to be a defeat in the Jiffy, by far. Marcoon has so
You mean for Maxi, right?
Yeah, no. Marcoon has so much setup on every single lane. He can choose to shut down Pride on the top side. He can take hat-tricks with him on the top side. He can choose to go bot lane. There's so much setup with the Draven, with the Rel, with the Twisted Fate coming down there, and so much damage against so many squishes. This is either going to be a bloodbath where BTXL end this game in 25 minutes, or they will lose the early game and we go game 3.
Alright, that's cool, but Maxi is going to have the priority from that mid lane with the Syndra. He's going to make good use of it. They're going to shut down the early game for Draven. He's going to be absolutely useless, and Fnatic's going to take this one. I see it.
All right, let's see. Let's see. I call the 2-0 right here. Let's see.
All right, 2-0 right here. Bold statement. 1-1 for Gulborg. Let's see how it goes down. I'm going to hand it over to Hypranianox.
Welcome to the League of Draven, baby. Deadly. That is a bold pick by him. It's a very feast or famine pick, and if Deadly can't make this work, XL are going to probably lose this game. Like that's like, it's you win with Draven or you lose with Draven. There is no like, oh, we'll just play for like.
That's how League of Legends works. You either win or you lose. That's literally the point of the game, Jake.
I don't mean in that sense. I mean, Draven is gonna, steamroll or get steamrolled. There is no middle ground for that champion.
And also trying to get off to a strong start, looking for a bit of cheese on the top side.
Unfortunately for them, Fnatic are also looking for cheese on the bottom side.
Yeah, we got a bit of Gouda in the top lane. We got a bit of
Wensleydale
on the bot side. Thanks for coming in with a cheese name. I was struggling there for a second.
Your girlfriend's French, mate. You should know cheeses.
I know. To me, they're just smelly cheese, non-smelly cheese. That's the distinguishing. But
you didn't even go for like a basic one originally. What did you say, Gouda?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have cheddar.
True.
Like,
Mozzarella.
Yeah, like they're like the basic cheeses, and you went straight into like.
Hey Jake, which cheese is made backwards?
Is that possible? Are they putting cheese in the other?
Edam. It's Edam. The cheese is called Edam. It's literally written. It's made backwards.
Oh. Yeah.
I can't believe you haven't heard that. I thought you were just gonna call me out instantly. But yeah, there you go. A little fun fact. It's because it's literally spelled EDAM, like made backwards.
Ah. You know, you had to spell it for me.
Yeah, yeah. You couldn't spell it yourself, obviously.
No, I can't spell.
Anyway, you know, I feel like they're hitting on this a lot on the desk. There was, you know, they were talking extensively about the win cons. And I'm surprised that Goldberg just didn't come out with a simplification, because this very much feels like, to me, a win lane, win game sort of situation. And right now, Hatrix is not winning lane.
Febby has burnt a lot of mana. All it really takes is a good gold card from Hatrix, and that's going to be the flash out from Febby. Marcoon's just going to look to put a bunch of poke in here. So Hatrix has to be somewhat careful from the minion aggro, but that probably just saved Hatrix, his lane state.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And also, how broken is red buff is all I'm going to say in this situation. Marcoon just kind of hammering away at Febiven, getting the auto damage in. And it's good to get that early pressure down because, as was said by Goldberg, Febiven having the priority mid can be where the issues start getting caused. If you take control of mid, if you translate that pressure downwards, that's where BTXL can start to find problems. But for now, you know, bot lane's going great because one of the issues with Tristana is her attack range is incredibly short in the early game. Takes a while before it ramps up. And if you have a short attack range, dealing with Draven is just not a fun time. Because anytime you're trading autos with him, anytime you're stepping up for CS, he just does more damage than you. Pound for pound, thanks to those axes.
Yeah, it really hurts. I'm actually curious what the build is, because I haven't actually seen Draven at all.
I feel like Gale Force, probably.
Yeah, you could.
And Shield Bow has been a pretty big go-to, but I think Gale Force, given that extra mobility, that dash to him is really valuable.
Eclipse, technically probably an item he could build as well.
Yeah, but probably not. I think he likes the correct. Essence Reaver is a good item for him, but probably nicely first.
Oh,
basically, damage.
We'll track
AD, yeah. Big fatty damage. So you're looking for.
For the moment, equal in CS, 2 Bean. Draven will always naturally shove as well. Kind of like Tristana will also naturally shove as well.
Draven does it better.
Draven does do it better because you either shove and keep your axes, or you don't keep your axes and you don't shove. Or you just drop them like that, deadly.
Happens.
We saw that one.
Gotta keep track of all his stacks throughout the entire game. That's what we're gonna harass our observer about. We'll be like,
it's
stack
70
check
at the moment.
Literally every 2 seconds. Oh, this could be the return gang. No flash on Febiven.
Yeah,
he's dead.
Does have the flash this time. There's the gold card. There's the spear. It's easy setup. And it's first blood for Hatrix.
And it's good to see, because getting that pressure now means he can start to move outwards. He has the support of his mid laner. Already Advian is posturing if he wants to go and help. And I love to see return gangs. You got the flash. You managed to deliver on the back end. Unfortunately, you don't win out on that rafter there. Smite comes in from Maxi to secure it, and Marcoon is just going to walk away. Did get a couple of the chickens, though.
Couple little chicken nuggets. That's fine for him. Continuing to shove in this bot side. Pretty much expected. Top lane. Remy is struggling versus Pride here. So maybe see some help come in. Maybe when Hatrix hits that level 6 mark, Marcoon and him could come up and just get a 3 versus 1 scenario going in their favor. Curious to see where Hatrix decides to use that Destiny.
Bot lane makes a lot of sense. Honestly, if I was playing it, I would just go bot lane, I'd stun card Rux, I'd have everyone on the team be there. You kill Rux, you give Draven the shutdown golden. And from the looks of it, with the Sheen coming in, it could just be the Essence Reaver first for the Draven. So giving even more burst damage on those axes.
Yeah, I think that actually makes sense.
Or could just sit on the Sheen, but
like
either way.
we're saying, I don't think there is like an opportunistic, like, quote-unquote best mythic for him. So he's probably okay building something like a Essence Reaver. It's definitely going to be quite impactful for him early. Hatrix does have to be careful as Febby making his way in, although Avian's here as well. They got the scatter of the week. They've got the stun. Here's the gold card from Hatrix. Hatrix trying to buy the space, but he is taken out underneath the tower. Rux goes. He takes a couple of tower shots, and Marcoon is continuing to fire in. Does land that spear as well. No whirling death available to Deadly yet, though, so Rux not under any real threat.
Yeah, they try to go for the same play again, but this time Fnatic wisen up to it, and they bring 4 members to the 3 at BTXL. Nice little turnaround to catch out Hatrix. You can see Hatrix was burning so much HP to try and bait Febiven in, and Febiven only went in when he had his teammates to back him up. The downside is now, though, being zoned away from the tower and Draven going to get some alone time with the plates.
Building up the stacks and also getting some gold cash in from the plates. Pretty much a freebie here for Deadly. He's got a level lead over Bean, although Maxi is in the area, but Deadly will reveal the fact he's got an attract and repel on him. First Drake up is that Infernal Drake. We'll see if either of these teams decide to put some priority on that one.
I think right now it's really difficult for Maxi to challenge because, you know, TF is just happily shoving the waves in. Febiven does now have his flashback, but for a time was being forced to play safe, and his priority from bot lane is just allowing Markoon really to play aggressive. These sets are coming in now. Looks like Advian is going to move up towards the top side, help try and secure control around the Herald, but Deadly is going to do what Deadly does, go back to down bot side and look to farm. And the thing is, if Bean is left alone in a solo lane against Deadly, he's not going to have a good time.
Yes. Isolated, this is pretty rough. Has the Warhammer as well, so got a little bit more to work with. Dadrick's actually really nice moves there to dodge away on everything Febiven threw at him. They just have to be careful as the Hex Splash is coming in, and over the wall they go. He has those Merc Treads, but that will not be enough today. Febiven finds himself the kill. Satrix is taken down easy as, and Maxi will be able to turn this into a Rift Herald for his team.
Yeah, nice little setup coming out. Brooks getting the Hex Splash, getting the connection on Hatrix, who is flashless, and some punishment for what he did earlier to Febiven, and the payoff is going to be the Herald. So Fnatic Rising, honestly, this game going pretty well in their favor. It's only really that Draven that's a problem in that matchup against Bean. And as long as you shut him down, as long as you get rid of those stacks before he cashes in, this should be pretty solid for Fnatic Rising. That's a big if, is whether you manage to shut those down. Remember, he loses 75% of them.
It's a big loss. This is why he's a Feast or Famine champion, because the feast is huge, the famine is devastating. But now able to pick some plates up as the Destiny's coming in. They've got the gold card. Bean uses the Buster Shot, but the Spear's going to connect, and that's a freebie there. Rux just going to be held still while Deadly...
Draven. One more.
Free to cash in on the kill. No, the Whirling Death, and there it is. There's the gold. 467 gold additionally into him. A bunch of injection as Pride will take this tower in the top side thanks to the help of the Rift Herald, and actually will be able to take out a charge onto the second inner tower. I don't think the tower itself is under any real threat though, as Arome is here.
It's big getting the tower. But I'm kind of just interested to see how much gold Deadly has now, because, yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. And there's a similar gold lead on the top side, but Draven really is the one who's cashing in. And this setup is just really nice. They look for Bean, who's away from the tower, has the cleanse, thinks he's going to get away, but the slow from the red buff means Marco can connect with his spear. And then here, super patient. Advian just tanks at the tower hits, and then no one else touches Rux. They know there's not a huge amount of pressure, much as Febiven is coming in, but critically, they managed to pick up the cash in for Draven, and that was the big point in that play. That's why having the TF is so important, being able to ult down, secure that man advantage, and translate it into cash in.
And now that cash in is the Essence Reaver finished up for Deadly, as Hatrix really getting bullied by Febby in this lane. Really getting bullied, but obviously lost a massive amount of CS thanks to the back of, thanks to him going bot lane, so has got himself a bit of gold off the back of that one, though. Deadly's just made his way back towards the bot lane, looking to get himself a bit of extra gold and stacks.
Yeah, and now is where the bot lane starts to become really difficult to play, because Bean just can't walk up to Deadly. Deadly just does so much damage per auto. And I mean, as much as things are a little bit difficult for Hatrix in the mid lane, he can still just clear the wave quickly.
And they've actually brought Markoon down here. They are looking to try and pick up these last plates. That tower plate is so clutch right now. It would fall with a stiff breeze, but they are going to chill for the moment. Deadly just continuing to be a real nuisance. Trying to clear out this vision, but not going to be able to find it. Oh, solar flares onto him. He's getting caught up by the Zenith Blade, and Markoon flashed onto. He is down. That's the shutdown for Bean as well. Pretty big shutdown for himself.
Yeah, just a better move coming up from Fnatic Rising. Tristana easily able to assist, jumping in those scenarios. And critically, they didn't have mid priority, so they didn't have ult from TF as well. You wouldn't get any help there. Deadly hadn't moved. There's a bit of an ambitious vision push from BTXL, and Fnatic answer well. And with that kill coming in, Bean's not actually too far behind compared to Deadly. Only 400 gold right now. He did get a shutdown on the Nidalee, so...
The difference is
about that impact.
Bean hasn't actually spent that gold yet. And, oh, he cancelled the base. There's the Whirling Death! Has to flash away from that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really matters if you're even in gold. Even if you do spend it, Deadly just is so hard to trade with right now. Like, the thing is, Bean needs to stack up the bomb to have a chance. And by the time that's happened, Deadly's just paved your head in.
Yeah. It's so problematic how strong it is. And now Pride getting tower dope. Hatrix gold card at the tower.
Oh my lord. Oh my lord.
You plonk.
Oh my lord.
That's one of those plays where... And he cancelled the base as well. Oh, that's actually so tragic. That's one of the plays where you finish this game and you just get in a cold shower and just...
Oh, there's a replay. Thank you very much. Ah. I mean, that's the thing as well. Like, if the stun card connects, the spear connects, everything connects. It just completely changes that play. But, you know, Hatrix, press escape, go in your settings, target champions only, find it.
Oh, Hatrix. That's the gold card. It's going to land it onto Febby just for a little bit of damage. Spear's not going to connect. Because Rux is getting jumped onto. He's in the Cyclone already. They're pulling him in with the Magnet Storm, and Deadly not going to be able to find that kill, but at least XL do find themselves a little something there. They have to be a little bit careful as Febiven in these chokeholds is very impactful, that scatter of the week.
Nice still pushing aggressively despite being a member down, but it's still a minute 40 on that Dragon. There's no real pressure to do anything right now. It does restrict how much vision they do have available, though. That's a critical thing with picking the support, is even if you have members of Fnatic alive who can push in, you don't have a Sightstone, you know? Like, you look at Rux right now, 2 control wards, 3 regular wards, not on the map. Is there now, obviously, but BTXL have just reset themselves. Might be a little late to defend this mid lane tower. Will and Death's going to come in to try and help, but this is just gone.
It's a Tristana, and there's a demolished stack on Pride. That tower is doomed as it's going to fall down. And Fnatic, speaking of dooming towers, looking to pick up this second Rift Herald for themselves as well. And XL, they are fighting a few good fights, a few opportunistic fights, but realistically, Fnatic in this series have just been the better team at taking the objectives. They've been able to secure themselves that first Dragon, 2 Rift Heralds, and 2 towers, where XL, they've been focusing heavily on getting Deadly ahead. And yeah, he is ahead. And he is a very strong Draven, but we'll be able to finally take a tower for his team here. But that'll be the first tower for his team, and he won't be able to spend this gold and finish up his next item before the Dragon spawns up. So just kind of working what he's got right now. That tower will crumble down. Solo gold over to Deadly. Or will it? No. Not even going to take the tower.
I mean, you can pick it up now if he wants.
Might be looking for Maxi. Remy gives a quick bonk as he walks past.
And that's the thing, is that Fnatic Rising opted to move topside towards the Herald. And they just don't have the vision around the Dragon to contest it. But again, this is not a concern. It's 1 Dragon, both teams want a piece. Cloud Soul has some value. A lot of champions can get some value out of that movement speed, but it's not exactly a game-breaking ultimate. Dragon Soul, and it's so far away still. So Fnatic definitely value in the Herald over the Dragon there. And I think their plan is to use a bot lane. That last out of tower, Deadly and Advian once again fishing for Bean. He should be wise to this, by the way. You got caught out by this in game 1. Should not be happening again. And you can see he's brought Maxi in, trying to look for the 2v2.
Well, it's a 2v3. They don't realize the Rift Herald's getting summoned, and actually there is Avian about as well. XL just gonna have to recall. They may lose 2 towers here.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't want to deal with the minion wave. Febiven had moved over as well. Fnatic just called the bluff, just went straight for the tower, and Reset had to come in for BTXL. Now they get the first tower, and they're going to get the second charge. Won't pick up the tower here, but Fnatic Rising just honestly out-rotating BTXL.
Yeah, that was really sloppy by XL. And now that's 2 chimes where their tier 2s have been charged on by a Rift Herald, so both top and bot are actually a little bit low right now. There is the gold lead is between the AD carries. It's actually dead even now as well, so...
I mean, Draven's actually down, you know? It's not by much at all.
30 gold, but yeah.
It goes back up, but like the fact he got that massive shutdown and we're bigging out how he's got this lead and to not even be ahead at all is pretty crazy at this point. Does have 200 stacks in the pocket, but again, if he goes down, most of those are in the bin.
Maybe sitting with a measly 60 stacks at that point, which is a massive cut-off of gold. It's going to shove this bot wave in. Hatrix is just going to catch the mid wave. And yeah, Deadly is going for that Immortal Shield Bow, as is Mythic. Has got 2 of the items for it, 2 of the component items anyway, as Arome. Doing his best to deal with Pride right now. Pride actually just continually shoving in, and the early bullying has become somewhat easier for Arome to deal with in this matchup now that he's got his Divine Sunderer and the Tiamat, so he can deal with the waves and also has a bit of sustain thanks to that Sunderer. XL's looping up as free here, looking to try and take this tower, but there's so much wave clear on Febiven that I don't actually think they had the ability to even scratch it.
Don't even get close. They are now rotating top side, trying to get some vision control. Baron isn't really on the cards at the moment. Things are kind of slowing down. This could actually be punished here. So they are going to get some damage in this tower. You can see Pride respecting it. I think Fnatic can just push a mid in this situation.
Yeah, no one's there to defend. There is Hatrix making his way over, but realistically not there yet at the moment. And then he probably will take this tower, though, for free. So a bit more gold injected into the Draven. Getting closer towards that shield bow makes him harder to kill. Gives him a lot more sustain as well. Yeah, second tower does get picked up, and now we are... Only 1 tower separates Fnatic and XL. The gold lead is 600, so it's very, very small. AD carry is pretty much even. There's a slight lead for Deadly over Bean. However, we did talk about the stacks. If Deadly gets a kill before dying, that gold lead will just explode in his favor.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't got a ton of stacks. He has a decent amount. But really, I think it comes down to this next dragon. How much are teams willing to commit to this one? I do give the edge to Fnatic Rising right now. I think their mid game is really solid. But it really comes down to Deadly. If Deadly can sort of get a lot of damage off the fight and go unchallenged, he can definitely carry a team fight. There's a big if. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it. BTXL could just turn this dragon down, but I think the plan is to go for it. Arome looking for this long flank here. Isn't actually on vision, but a great blue trinket spots him out.
Let's get spotted out as he clears out some of these vision, at least. Pixel Brush will see him, and the teleports are coming in. Pride's looking to jump in, but Deadly unanswered as he throws out the Whirling Death. Deadly has to cleanse. Pride looking for the slam, but not going to find it as Deadly flashes away, but nobody there to defend Deadly, and that means he is going to be jumping away. The Cyclone knocks out multiple members, and Fnatic are the team coming out on top. Bean finds himself the double kill. And XL just get completely zoned out from that fight.
Just great engage tools from Fnatic Rising, and BTXL's composition doesn't function quite as well in a 5v5 if you don't have Arome diving the backline of Fnatic. They get the fight straight onto the Baron. Be interested to see if a Whirling Death comes in from Deadly to try for a steal.
He's going to go for it.
Not happening.
Ooh, a lot of damage onto Maxi, but he'll be able to survive this thanks to the smite. Maybe he didn't have it, but yep, is able to pick up that up. And the Dragon picked up for the side of XL as well. And if we look at this fight, just look at how zoned Deadly was. He couldn't walk up.
So like beautiful TP coming in there. Sorry, beautiful engage from Rux that locks down Hatrix. And it's basically just a one fight on the front line. Deadly, seeing the Mega now, has to flash out. And I mean, you count the autos. He's only starting to auto now, and the fight's already very much over. And that's the problem. You don't have that mobility on the Draven. You use both your summoners to just try and get away. You're just unable to find any room in this team fight, and Fnatic end up delivering with pretty dominating force, and now with this Baron can start to hammer away those structures. Remember, Tristana will just shred these in a second.
Yep. There you go. The tower's getting taken down like it's nothing. Fnatic, they're here to play after losing that game 1 to a base race. Could have gone either way. It's Markin has to jump away. Fnatic in a commanding lead now for the first time of this game, as Rux is actually getting chased off by Deadly, although thanks to his W, able to get a little bit of extra survivability. It's like they're teleport flanking in here. Fnatic potentially getting collapsed onto. Advian already gets chunked. Solar Flare connects. Deadly not the one caught out, but here comes a Rome. Can they find the turnaround? I don't think so, as that is going to be the kill. The stun is connected. Deadly gets the shield bow, but he is going to lose his life. Advian, no AD carry, nowhere to go. There is a shutdown picked up for a Rome, but Pride gets himself a double kill. Rome sustaining up a lot here with that Divine Sundra, but the ace is there for Maxi. 3 members of Fnatic and the Baron buff. This could just be game, although Marcoon's up in 12 seconds time. But he's going to have his work cut out for him.
The 5v5 just so much stronger from Fnatic Rising. Arome literally basically solo killed Featherman and Bean. That was all him. I mean, we'll watch a replay again, but he just kills Featherman with very little help at all. Kills Bean basically solo. You can see him dive in here. It's like, look how much work Arome does in this situation. And it just doesn't mean anything. I mean, there is a bit of a chunk out already coming on to Featherman, but he just does all the work to take out Bean, and the rest of the team are just dying. Deadly getting harassed by the Udyr, and the Gnar can't do anything. And it's the issue. They just don't have the damage to cut through this front line right now, Fnatic Rising. It doesn't even matter if you kill the back line, because Maxi and Pride are just so strong right now. They're just unstoppable. And Draven really isn't in a position to cut through tanks very quickly right now, so... BTXL, when you can't 5v5 and when you're behind, you're sort of playing to what Fnatic Rising wants to do.
Oh no.
You're really in a difficult spot.
Avian's in so much trouble. The Destiny's been used. They know where he is. The Spear is going to connect, but Avian uses that Magnet Storm defensively. It's a Solar Flare, connects on the Hat-Trick. Here comes Bean, here comes Pride. Great interrupt by Deadly, but Hat-Trick's already going to lose his life. Arome comes in onto the backline, gets himself a Cyclone off, and Marcoon shreds through Featherman a little bit here, but Deadly just again zoned out of the fight, unable to do too much, and Bean secures yet another double kill, doing so much work, and Pride is just cutting through Deadly's health bar. Here comes Bean, here comes the turnaround, and the Scatter the Weak by Febby squashes the 2 remaining members of XL, and it looks like we're going all the way to game number 3.
It's only Advian up and now. I think Featherman and Pride might back away. They're not taking that inhibitor too fast. But I think BTXL will survive for now, but this game is looking so dominant for Fnatic Rising. Considering how close game 1 was, and we even had the devs talking about how often after a close game 1, you get a team just stomping. We would have thought it'd be an XL, but Fnatic Rising just aren't stopping. They catch out Advian here, and you can see the team try and save, but Rux is looking beyond that, gets the pick on a Hat-Trick, and then the damage is stacked up so he goes down. And Arome, doing his best in this game, gets the kill on a Rux and is trying to take down Bean, but it's kind of like a one-man army situation for this Wukong. And then it's continuing the tower. I mean, just look at this. Pride is tanking the tower and Deadly and winning in mini-Gnar. It's just unreal how far ahead Fnatic Rising are right now, and BTXL, it just feels like there's nothing they can do.
This is where you start to suffer from the Draven problem. Champion, his only mobility is on the Blood Rush. It gives a bit of movement speed, but when you've got to navigate through the Leona CC, through the Udyr, through the Gnar, there's so much CC to work through, and then just the burst from Featherman and Bean. It's unplayable for Deadly without his team, you know, him positioning well and his team also playing around him well. But it looks like they are going to look for a little something here. Pride's Gnar bar has timed out, but Marcoon's getting jumped onto, and Bean, that might just be enough. Oh, heals himself. Stopwatches, okay. He's able to survive that, but that's now the stopwatch down. Or at least it's Zonya's,
so, you know, it'll come back.
Slightly better.
Either way, this damage. I mean, it just feels like there aren't that many options for BTXL.
Oh, they're looking for it. Hat-Trick comes in onto Bean, has to jump away, but Bean will just continue the chase. Cloud Soul means he's got the movement speed to go for it, and Deadly's being zoned. Marcoon is going to get caught out. Advian can't do anything for his AD carries. The Unleashed Power, the Gnar, the CC is just way too much, and Advian is just bopped around like a ragdoll. And Fnatic are going to take down the turrets, take down the Nexus, and we're going all the way to game number 3.
This just didn't even look close. Not even slightly. This was just a complete one-sided stomp coming out from the side of Fnatic. There were moments in the early game where maybe we thought they could get the ball rolling, but BTXL's composition needed to flourish in the early game. It wasn't enough to go even. It wasn't even enough to have your Draven just slightly ahead. You needed to start stomping. You needed momentum. They didn't find it, and Fnatic Rising are able to answer back quite quickly. And all things considered, when you think about how game 1 went with regards to it was very close down to the wire, I think going in with a comp like this is risky, and for BTXL, it didn't pay off. And now, momentum's on the side of Fnatic Rising. Game 3, all or nothing here.
I think that was a way too greedy draft by XL. Like, there was a win condition within that comp, but it's a very hard one to play in the current meta. And I just think it was a little bit too greedy, and maybe they're feeling a little cocky after game number 1, even though it ended on a backdoor. But with that, Fnatic do even out the series. It does mean we're going to game number 3. But before that, it's time for some adverts. So rest your corneas on this.
There goes that passing light in the twilight before the dark hour. And this time I better get it right, 'cause maybe we're all passengers on the inside. I had something nice to say. I'm thinking of that blood that you are. I never wandered far. I never set my standards too low. And I never wandered far. And I don't mind. Take the lead and drive me far away. You drive me far away. You drive me. When the night comes creeping in to say goodnight, and the daybreak starts within in the blink of an eye, and the dream is like a highway that never ends. I'm wanting it all to last. I'm waiting for it to pass. I had something nice to say. I'm thinking of that blood that you are. I never wandered far. I never set my standards too low. And I never wandered far. And I don't mind. Take the lead and drive me far away. You drive me far away. You drive me. You drive me far away. You drive me.
Well, we've got a series on our hands. Gulborg was correct, and Fnatic absolutely. Well, he was correct on two fronts. On the draft, which obviously Trouble ended up agreeing with, and also they stomped it. He called it. He called it out of a game like that.
Hey,
he
come
called
on,
it.
man. I said this was either going to be a 20-minute stomp by Excel or they're going to lose 25 minutes in. And they lost
True.
25 minutes in.
It's true. It's true. You both were correct. You both were correct. I just in my brain I remember Gulborg saying it, but you both said it. There you go.
Well, I
Trouble.
do look like him a little.
Corrected
so
myself.
I can see why you would be confused. Yes.
Ah, yes, of course. And you sound pretty similar too, actually. So
Denmark.
Alright, let's
Denmark.
bring. Wait, there's someone. Wait. Never mind. Actually, all right. Let's bring this back to because I had this in my hand. I was like, do we put on the Denmark headband? No, I did not. I do not put it on. So let's bring that. We're back with some analysis. I actually think that BTXL executed pretty nicely on their composition in the beginning of the game. I thought they were really good at creating roams around the Draven, but we got to that mid game. It kind of felt like they started being punished for it. And I think we can see a lot of it here. Even the mid lane with Macoon and Hatrix, they did a really good job at coming in and punishing Febiven when he had no flash whatsoever.
I think the problem here for BTXL is that they completely forgot the #1 rule for this series. Mid lane prio wins the game. Maxi was completely unlocked on the map because Febiven went for the Syndra, because he was able to stomp down Hatrix, push him underneath his tower. And again, you don't need a Silas if the Twisted Fate doesn't roam because he's dead. He fell behind in experience, he fell behind in CS, he wasn't as impactful in the game. It's not like he could TP in any lane and get a kill. He would actually get killed if he tried to do that. And they just could not snowball a very snowbally bot lane that they picked for the Draven. The Draven in the end ended up being able to do nothing because Sphere's all over the place, Leon in his face, Gnar in his face, Udi in his face. How do you play Draven into that? And it was just very, very, very extremely well coordinated by Fnatic.
He's done it. He's done the Denmark. He's done the Denmark.
Listen. I know you want to talk, but listen. All right, better jungler wins in this one. Maxi, you got the priority you're going. Even though he couldn't bring it out in the early game, in the mid game, he's just running around. He was like, I stun you. It's so easy for the rest of them to come and clean up that fight. He ended up being a level ahead. Macoon and the rest of BTXL, they couldn't capitalize on that well-played early game that Macoon did have. But in the mid game, it was all about that deer.
Yeah, right-clicking is hard, by the way. Okay, so we are obviously 1-1. I believe we do have a play that we want to break down from that game, right? So I believe we have something that we want to look at. So whichever professor is taking me through this, I'm going to guess it's Gulborg. Let's run.
It's Professor Denmark right here, right?
Professor Denmark.
Let's take it through it here. This is the game where I just want to kind of reiterate how this composition is working so much better from Fnatic right now and how much easier it is to play into BTXL. Fight start out with a TP coming in, and you can already see how it's been started. There's no beefy frontliner that they can't cut through anymore now. It's really easy for Fnatic to be proactive in this exchange. So they get the CC down to Hatrix, who's immediately forced out. And then look how split the fight suddenly becomes. Bean still has the pressure to actually jump in and try and be a factor over on the side. You can see him here, but at the same time, there's also a big fight going on with the rest of them in the middle of the team. And you can just see it's so much easier for them to play when it's not a Victor coming in here, when it's that Draven in the mid game who didn't really get too much out of his adoration stacks. It's just way easier to execute on the composition got for Fnatic right here, and they felt way more comfortable with the Tristana, with the Febiven in the mid lane with the Syndra. And yeah, in the end, I think that's why it worked out for them, because you could actually see they were able to play the game more confidently.
But yeah, I think everything you just said there made perfect sense, and I was totally listening to your entire breakdown.
You looked like it, Alexander. You looked.
Yeah, massively so. Sorry, I was trying to read what was coming up next, and I was completely completely in my own little host
I think
zone.
he said something about Maxi better jungler.
Maxi,
Denmark,
yeah,
Denmark.
it was something about Denmark,
yes.
Maxi.
I got some from you guys as well. I think I can send them over if you want to.
I actually would wear it.
Well.
I would actually wear it. I would legit wear that. But yeah, we could boil Gulborg's analysis down to Denmark and Maxi. There you go. That's it. We don't need to say anymore. Literally don't need to say anymore. Right. Break. See you soon for the third game of the series.
we're falling further. Only time will tell. Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna change up? Now it's over. Big dreams, big hearts will roll together. So wide awake now. It seems our hearts were always beating a different rhythm all along. You don't really wanna. I feel like running from the games you seem to play. Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna change up? Now it's over. Big dreams, big hearts will roll together. So wide awake now. It seems our hearts were always beating a different rhythm all along. Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna wear it? Who's gonna change up? Now it's over. Big dreams, big hearts will roll together. So wide awake now. It seems our hearts were always beating. Big dreams, big hearts will roll together. So wide awake now. It seems our hearts were always beating. Taking turns on the swing of life is the name.
All right, so here's the tea. We're gonna jump straight into draft of our game 3 between BTXL and Fnatic. And what do we want to see? Udyr ban. 1. Nah first pick for BTXL. If it's not first picked, it's gonna be a ban for Fnatic Rising. But Nah wins games. Whoever told you and you and you and you that Nah is a weak champion is absolutely blatantly lying, because Nah is an absolutely overpowered piece of candy and he wins games. Okay?
Andy.
And there you go.
I didn't
because
realize
BTXL
Candy
have
had
the first
the power.
Nah is actually banned. I like
Oh,
that.
man.
Mine
I like
yeah,
Candy.
good. Okay, so Udyr is available for like.
Listen,
if
we're
it doesn't
PG here. I couldn't say what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We'll wait to see what the final ban is. Udyr obviously still available. Now, I'm not sure whether BTXL put as much stock in it as Fnatic do, but it feels like you kind of have to respect the Udyr after last game from Maxi. Like, he just, the Diffie and the Jiffy, it was there. The Diffie and the Jiffy.
Are you willing to admit that, Trouble, or what are we looking at here? What are we
Absolutely
looking
not,
at?
my dude. Absolutely not, my dude. Come on.
So with this, Kai'Sa has gone through for the first time in our entire pick and ban. So if you're speaking of power picks in the AD carry pool, that is a champion that's up and available. The flex pick champion of Tristana
Of
got
course.
completely swapped away last time, and it is going to be Rel coming in once again from Advian. He has a good performance on this champion. I don't think that was the champion that was the issue last draft at all. So I think it's a good choice for first pick still when the power picks are out.
So here's what the problem is. Kai'Sa really suffers against Tristana because you can't walk close to the wave to try and last hit because the bombs are going to hit you. And I really like that BTXL got the Rel. They're going to give away the the Kai'Sa, and then they can pick the Tristana for themselves for Deadly because it's going to be so extremely strong against Kai'Sa in the lane. You don't let her farm very easily. Max is going to go again for his Udyr, which Tristana is really strong against. Rel is really strong against the Udyr as well. So I just really like the flip here by BTXL to allow the Kai'Sa to go through and then counterpick it with the Trist.
Yeah, so Trist, it's been huge priority, not so much in the EU yet. We have started to see it come through, but from the LPL, this was just, as soon as Kai'Sa became meta again, they started opting in with this AD carry, and I was speaking to Munchies talking about how they usually go Hail of Blades and not even press the attack, which is usually the rune you would go for in an extended trade because you get extra percentages, but no, here they just go for the Hail of Blades where you just completely demolish them instantly. You try to be an assassin as an AD carry, really, is specifically against the Kai'Sa. So I hope if this Tristana is going AD carry, we get to see that aggressive style really come through.
We're going to see the Orianna locked in for Hat-Tricks as well, like a very safe mid laner. It takes a little bit of, I guess, pressure off Hat-Tricks' shoulders. He can just play the laning phase a bit more chilled out and denies it from Febby, who we know likes to pick that one up. We're going through to our second ban phase. Now, obviously, XL have not taken a jungler as of yet, and they also obviously still have the opportunity to pick up their top laner. So I imagine the jungle pool gets pinched a little bit here. I would imagine the support pool gets pinched a little bit by XL.
Oh, this is going to be sad again because probably Olaf's going to get banned. There's going to be the Nidalee ban again versus Malkoon. The only thing he's going to have left is the Graves, unless he wants to pivot towards something like a Skana, which would make sense here because you would be the front line for your team. What I am smelling here is something like a Sion probably going up in the top lane, something like an Ornn. We're going to have possibly a Noodle fight. And I said that BTXL are playing a little bit more on the cautious side, at least with the composition that I'm seeing right now. They've got the Orianna and the Rel right there to try and protect the Tristana. I think we're like resorting back to the good old days of protect deadly, he attack, we protect.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if it's actually going to be the Nidalee ban or they thought that the Grace was more threatening when they played against that in game one. I don't think it did all too much in the early game. It actually came down to the fact that the Graves just got to a point where he could one-shot your AD carry, which you obviously do not want. But out of all junglers, it's going to be Jarvan coming in as the last ban here. And what is the last support going to be banned here? You could opt into banning another weak sider if you know you have a blind pick in mind for your top side for BTXL with a Rome. But you could also just pinch rocks down
Gragas?
even more with
Gragas is what
ban,
I would be thinking, yeah. Gragas is what I was thinking, because obviously you just like, you can body slam. It's going to be the Nautilus though, so Gragas is still available for Rux if he wants it. I'm wondering any other supports that we're like blindingly missing at this point in time.
I think that would make the utmost sense unless you want to go back to a very old meta such as something like the Volibear, which, I mean, yeah, I would suppose it would work. If you want to kill the 2v2, you can very easily flash onto the Tristana. I'm not the biggest fan of Seraphine Kai'Sa lane. It's not as aggressive for me, but we have seen Orome play Queens and Jaces up in the top lane if he wants to go towards counter-picking the Renekton. And the Nidalee is still up and available, so if you want to go towards something like this, the double pole composition to shutting down Pride, which didn't work last game, by the way, so it's going to be a bit tough.
Ooh, this is
going to be Marcoon.
Yeah, because we saw Dan run this in the LEC as well, so I'm guessing this is something that XL have been
as well,
playing.
Scoundrel.
Yeah, Tinks as well. That's true.
as well,
I didn't cast that game though. So anyway.
Listen, I don't remember what happens in the games I don't cast.
Exactly. My memory is only absorbs a certain amount of information. Aatrox would be an interesting one. That, a relatively good pick into Renekton. Obviously now the support is available for Fnatic Rising. Maybe they're trying to find a support that slots in here. wonder
It has
what
to
the...
be Gragas. It has to be Gragas. This has have so much all-in potential from the side of BTXL, and I feel like Gragas would present such a good barrier between the Kai'Sa. You also have the all-in potential, so I don't see why it wouldn't be that.
Yeah, I think it's the correct choice. We kind of talked about it all the way back from the ban phase, and I think that makes the most sense here for Fnatic Rising. So the Gragas comes through. These are the compositions, and yeah, tell me what you guys think about it, because this is the final game of the series. Winner goes on to the grand finals directly. They get a 1-game advantage in the best of 5 from having that, and obviously for XL, Fnatic has been their kryptonite for like season after season after season. They've been in this position before where it's looked like they're going to win, and then Fnatic sweep it out from under them. So final game, who's getting it?
Yeah, I don't want to predict who's getting it, but I kind of want to iterate how these conversations are actually looking. You got 2 bruisers in the top side. You got a jungler where they come in, they run fast, and they try to slow you down or stun you with the Udyr. You got control mages in the mid lane. You got your AD carries to play for, and then you have your support as an engages facilitator. So these compositions want to do the same thing, where in the mid lane from Fnatic Rising, you want to just pressure with Syndra as much as you can in the Orianna matchup, and for Kai'Sa, you want to scale a bit before you go for that attack.
So I do believe that BTXL have the ultimate kiting composition, whilst Fnatic want to run into you. And whoever manages to keep their carries alive is going to be the one, because we saw a lot of times in the previous one, hat-tricks got caught so many times. If this is the situation right here with the Orianna, they're actually going to suffer. I think I'm going to side with Gulbog's prediction, and it's going to be a 2-1 for BTXL.
Okay, I'm going to take Gulborg as a 2-1 for BTXL as well. He's going to stick to his predictions. We're going to hand it over to our casters for the final time in this series. Final game, 1-1 apiece. BTXL, Fnatic, take it away.
Do you notice that Gulborg avoided giving us a direct answer on who he thought was going to win? Orcs, I want a direct answer from you. Who's winning this game and why?
I think BTXL, because I think the early game advantages that Fnatic Rising's composition offers, I don't think they amount to enough to overcome what BTXL has. Last game, we saw a scenario where BTXL had those early game potential advantages in the bot lane, weren't able to make it amount to anything. So I think realistically, unless Fnatic Rising could start this one with a bang, they might be struggling later on.
I don't know if you're talking, Orcs. I'm just going to interrupt you here. You're muted on Discord, Chief.
Yeah. Well,
there we go.
I did talk. They hit the points, and you just have to appreciate that you're not going to hear it.
You know what? I'm gonna guess. You're going XL.
Wow, good guess.
Kind of smurfed it. Alrighty, so now if I can hear my co-caster, we're ready to go into our third and final game of this best of. The most anticipated game, I think, or the most anticipated matchup of the NLC, all split long, finally matching up. Game number 1 ended in chaos. Game number 2 ended pretty dominantly for Fnatic. They went up versus XL, who I think honestly drafted a very greedy comp. I think this time XL, much better comp from, much smarter. So my expectations are a little bit higher for XL going into this game. They've got their hands on the Tristana. Bean's been on it all series long. The Kai'Sa has been banned away, so Bean's taken that instead. And we're just focusing on the mid lane. A little bit of trading, a little bit of farming going here and there.
And Hat-Trick did not have a good time in the mid lane last game. There's no other way you can really state that one. It was rough. So needs to have a better performance here. In this matchup, should be in a better position. Should be able to contest that priority. And he is doing so, but kind of losing out a little bit in these trades.
Yeah, so what we see every time. I mean, he's taking orb after orb. Hat-Trick's trying to trade here versus Febby, although Febby has burnt a lot of his mana for this trade, so it's health for mana, really.
True, but he has got, he has just used his last corruption stack and has a biscuit, so, we'll see.
We will. Hat-Trick's also got a biscuit in his inventory, so much better in the mana department, and now that obviously has the Command Protect, has that shield to work with, so a little bit of extra trading tools available to him. I'm curious about this top lane as well. The Renekton versus the Aatrox. Pride, for pretty much most of this series, has had a pretty good top lane for himself. Actually, no, game 1 was pretty rough. Game 1 was pretty
game
rough.
1 was rough.
Rome was on the Gnar. I forgot
Yeah,
why
he
he
was on
played Gnar in
Sion.
only one game.
I mean, Renekton, in the current state of the game, Renekton is going to have an advantage in this matchup, but Arome can just kind of hold on, trade from a distance, keep him at bay, and then obviously scales into a really strong team fighter. As long as he's not falling significantly far behind, I wouldn't be too worried about this matchup. And that's the thing, is that if Fnatic Rising can get some momentum going in this game, great. But if they can't, they're going to struggle later on. And speaking of struggling, Febiven is starting to look a little bit low, not just in health, but in mana. And Maxi's going to come in, but this is going to turn into a 2v2 very quickly. Actually,
Yeah.
I say that, Marcoon's like, nah, I don't want to fight this Udyr right now.
I mean, Rux had roamed over. Same for Advian as well. But I think, honestly, XL not getting too greedy, not going, we win this. We have the numbers advantage here. We'll get the jump. But playing that smart, saving the summoner spells, saving themselves some time.
I mean, he provided the cover for my hat-tricks. That's the important thing. Allowed him to get a reset, but I think he made the right decision in not opting in for a fight there.
Yeah, both of the mids are just going to teleport back to their lane. Pots are being rejuvenated. Tears are in the inventory. So they have exactly the same items.
How balanced? Infinite
Good
mana,
balance.
infinite health. What can you do? Life of a mid laner.
This is why we need presence of mind back. The old presence of mind. So you don't have to buy tier. I know that rune was kind of silly.
That what was what?
That rune was kind of silly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, really.
It basically infinite mana.
Especially in
I love
ARAM.
It was the ARAM rune. I still run it occasionally on ARAMs actually.
Yeah, it's still okay.
Keep yourself topped up, but we're not in ARAM. We are in game 3 of this.
That's really
big.
big. Do you see the ending of game 1?
Yeah, that was Well, to be fair, Febiven teleported in through the top lane, so
True.
not entirely ARAM there. He is now starting to get
Hey, he
traded
cheated.
onto by hat-tricks.
I mean, he has started to build up a little bit of success advantage. It's very slow, this game, and it's kind of expected altogether, but does make me wonder how this one's going to pan out. I think dragon stacking may come up pretty big in this one, and I think that's something that Fnatic Rising should be looking to do if they want to try and solidify an advantage in the game. And already you can see Maxi is in the pit clearing some wards out. Not going to start up next. Not confident in his bot lane. Maintaining priority. They are chunked out a little bit here.
I'm not actually sure if he was spotted leaving the pit. As Febi actually just flash unleashed his
Oh
power.
my.
Hat-tricks
That was close.
just about survives that. Flash for flash in the mid. That does mean that both of these mid laners are exposed now. Without their flashes. Pretty easy to find these picks onto. As Bean's going to just find out whether or not this dragon has been started. And Markin quite happy just taking the crab away. And actually, he's going to say thanks for the start of the dragon. He's going to kick it off himself. Maxi is making his way down. Markin doesn't have that sadism yet. This could actually get kind of scrappy, although they have actually brought the Aatrox with him. Might just come down to a bit of a smite fight. Teleports are coming in, and Advian's going to try and zone away. Rux taking a lot of damage from Deadly. Who's going to land the smite? It's going to be Fnatic. It's going to be Maxi. The Scatter of the Week connects onto Arome. There is no Scatter of the Week to work. Unleash Power for Febi. Hat-trick's only level 5, so hasn't got the Shockwave. Well, Arome has popped that World Ender. Dragon picked up for Fnatic.
And that's what Fnatic need. They get a kill, they shut down the Mundo, and they get the Dragon as well. Good moves from Maxi. I like that the TP came in from Price, solidify that one. Definitely important to get that early momentum.
Deadly not willing to go to base quite yet, as Hat-tricks gets caught out by a Scatter of the Week. Does have a Renekton in the bush, so Hat-tricks can't be too greedy yet. Looks like we settled down after that. Nice little bit of action.
You get a minute of action, and then you get a bunch of farming, bunch of chilling. I've seen a pretty big CS advantage open up for Febi. And, I was complimenting Hat-tricks in his laning earlier, and he's kind of dropped the ball.
I've never said that. God, you're the worst. It works for both sides as well. That's the worst thing. It was double pronged. It literally worked for both of these mid laners.
Yeah. I had to do it.
Now, Avian's waiting around here in the mid lane. He's rotating towards the top side. Looks like he's just looking to set up for this Rift Herald for his team. Bevy's out of mana, so Hatrix can quickly just get control of the wave and then just rotate over. Rux will spot out Marcoon, but they're just going to clear the vision out and go back to Rift Herald.
Yeah, actually, Maxi was leashing the blue for Febiven to get that mana. Which means they're a little bit late, but blue buff now there for Febiven. He's confident to move in here. Looks like another fight right now of this neutral.
Yeah, both of the teams have brought everybody over. Can Maxi steal this one away? Did get that last one. He's looking to do exactly the same again. It's going to be XL who pick it up. Hatrix being zoned away by Maxi. The stuns are connected into him, but Deadly firing away. Watch for the shockwave from Hatrix. He's waiting for that opportunity. Can he pull the trigger? Can he find his opportunity? Only catching onto 2, but the health bars are low. Remy has to flash over the wall, and Marcoon gets himself a double kill. Bean gets the heal off and jumps back at a triple kill for Marcoon. And Deadly jumps over the wall. Remy gets the next one. Deadly just kind of missing everyone with the rocket jumps, but XL, they find themselves the ace, and they can walk away happy with that one.
What a close fight there, but Marcoon just survives for too long with that sadism, manages to pick up almost an instant double from the back of his AoE, and then the cleanup comes in, the re-engage from BTXL. And you can see Fnatic Rising try and force away in here, but they just don't manage to connect where they want. They don't even manage to catch out a Rome here properly, and it just ends up becoming a very scattered team fight where they're trying to hunt down targets, but they're not really getting anyone apart from Advian. And then when that does happen, Shockwave comes in to chunk them out, combined with the Rome. Rome manages to get away somehow, and Bean thinks he's going for the correct play there, but Rome gets a massive heal. And in the meantime, Marcoon, the damage wasn't there. The Kai'Sa needed to be the one to kill the Mundo. Without that extra damage, just able to survive for too long.
Gold lead is 900 right now. XL are able to slingshot themselves ahead. I'd like to take a look at the individual golds, actually, because, yeah, the jungle starting to build up for Marcoon. Obviously, is down a camp to Maxi at the moment, but does have a whole bunch of camps to clear out where Maxi only has his Krugs. Marcoon will be able to pick up this Scuttle Crab as well, so gold lead should grow even greater for Marcoon, who's got his sadism back again as well, and is starting to get kind of strong as Maxi coming in onto Hatrix. Hatrix, the unleashed power is going to connect, and no jungler about. Does have that flash, puts the shockwave into Febby to pull him underneath the tower. Taking shot after shot, but here comes Marcoon. The flash comes out from Febby to get over the wall. Marcoon continues to chase, but not going to be able to find anything else.
Close one there, just a bit of an overstep, but Febiven does pay with his flash, but not his life. Does it mean that BTXL should just be able to shove this wave in, get control of the dragon area on the back of this? TP is available for both mid laners in this situation, but XL are the ones with control right now once again.
I remember Avian's the one who picked up the Rift Herald off the back of that fight as well. That's why he roamed up, because if they found the kill, he may have just pulled it. Teleport was used by Febiven to get back into this lane nice and quick. Hatrix healing up on the fountain, and we'll be looking for his own teleport, but now he's getting jumped onto. Gets that extra tenacity from the W as he gets pulled back, a free-man pull-in with a Magnet Storm. No shockwave available, unfortunately, for Hatrix, but the health bars are already low. And here comes Deadly, hunting for the kill. That's one reset. Rux has to belly bop to safety. And he's not going to be able to find anything else, as Bean will take out that ward. XL just find himself a freebie.
Imagine if Hatrix had ult there, honestly. Imagine how different that fight would have been. It'd just been over. That game probably would have been over as well on the back of that. Still very favorable for BTXL. I've been getting some great lockup there, but wasn't quite as successful as I might have hoped.
Oh, here comes the Rift Herald from Advin. They're just going to look to put the gold into Hatrix. Not going to take the tower with this. If only being able to take one additional plate, but we'll leave this tower very low and very susceptible to later dives.
Get some extra gold on a Hatrix who has pulled a decent amount ahead of Febiven now. I mean, overall, just everyone across the board is pulling ahead. Thanks to those team fights, thanks to that sort of global gold that's been coming in. Not really global gold, more just individual gold. Assist gold. Gold in general.
You having a breakdown, Orcs? Is that what that was?
No, not really. I'm just, enjoying the game.
Good. I'm also enjoying the game.
It's good. I'm not sure if Fnatic are right now.
No. I think I think they're feeling it quite rough after that backdoor as well, after the first game.
Yeah, I think it's rough as well. I feel like things are just going to get worse as we get deeper in the game. Like, going late doesn't favor Fnatic necessarily. I think BTXL have the edge. Deadly could be... Oh, wow. He just jumps away. Amazing.
He had the rocket, the buster shot as well, so realistically, even if he didn't have that dash, I think he was going to be A-okay.
There's no way he dies there. I think they're just trying to push the wave in, so Bean can move over to assist with Dragon, but realistically, I don't think they can contest this Dragon. I don't think they should contest this Dragon, but I've been proved wrong before.
It would be a very greedy contest when you're playing into, you know, the Ken tank on Marcoon means he can get onto that backline like it's nothing. Deadly with the Kraken Slayer means the very kind of, at the moment, weak front line that Fnatic have would just be cut through so fast by him on that. And smart play by Fnatic just to give that one up, recognize that they are currently in a deficit. They are the ones who are in that power trough.
And that's the thing, when there is like a situation like this where you have the first Dragon, you're just not under pressure at all. Even if the first Dragon had already gone to Fnatic BTXL, still isn't a huge amount of pressure to contest that second one. So correct choice coming up from Fnatic Rising. It's something we've actually seen a lot of teams make the mistake of in the regular season of the NLC, is fighting objectives when you don't need to, when you're behind. And as much as I favor BTXL scaling going into the late game, there are windows where Fnatic Rising will be able to look for fights. Mid game will be strong for them. They just need to get to that point, get a couple of items, get their mythics down, and then look to challenge BTXL.
Yeah, absolutely. Now lane swaps are coming out. Fnatic are definitely slower to the punch on this one, and maybe they're just looking to not even bother matching. As Rome should be pretty comfortable here to be able to hold this wave on his own. A lot of wave clear available to that Aatrox, but now getting jumped onto, gets the flash off perfectly to avoid the cast from Rux, and Fnatic can get a bit of free time on to this bot lane turret, but the problem is what's happening elsewhere. Mid lane getting sieged up heavily. Marcoon's going to be able to take down the Rift Herald in the top side. Realistically, Deadly probably will be able to answer out with the turret in the top lane for himself. Fnatic will find first turret blood though, so that's their silver lining they can walk away with from there.
I don't think it's considered with the deficit. You can be happy with that one. Would have been nice to get the kill as well, but 1 for 2, even with the tower fist blood, isn't a good trade. When you're behind, you have to take what you can get.
And the Rift Herald though, it's not just 1 for 2, it's potentially 1 for 3.
Yeah, okay, never mind, it's a terrible trade.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
Yeah, and the thing is, as much as I'm saying they're in a deficit, it's not a huge deficit. Like, I know they can't necessarily fight them right now, but trading this negatively at this point, it's not a good omen for Fnatic Rising.
Yeah, but the problem is with the gold lead XL have got, and with the fact that Maxi's actually flashing in for hat-tricks, I might have to hold that forward. The shockwave's flashed away. Hat-tricks gets out with a sliver of health. How the hell did he do that?
That's a tilter. That's a tilter, all right. A little bit of luck, a little bit of shielding, a little bit of corrupting potion. Ultimately, hat-tricks managed to live that one, and Fnatic Rising, things couldn't get worse. Missing out on that play, missing out on that kill, trading down in summoners, and now Herald gets thrown down bot. Just not a good spot for the game to be in at all.
Yeah, here comes the charge, and here goes that second tower. The question is Deadly going to be able to find a second charge off here? Has got his team with him, Pride. Going to try and interrupt and just be a nuisance and take this out, but he gets Buster shot back, and Pride might just lose his life. The slow from the cleaver. Pride is going down, and Deadly on a killing spree now. They get the second charge off as well. It is all coming up XL.
I think they could just take the tower here, honestly.
Yeah, they got the charge.
Yeah, it's gone
for Deadly. That's dead. It's just dead. XL they have just slingshot ahead right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the individual differences between the 80 carries and mid laners. 1,000 gold lead for hat-tricks. 1,300 gold lead between the 80 carries. It's not looking good. There's a 2-level lead as well between Bean and Deadly.
It is. Yeah, it is. That's what I meant in that sentence. And Deadly just spent a bunch of gold as well on that base, so we'll see exactly what he's got in his items, but probably got the Phantom Dancer. Yep, there it is. Meanwhile, over on Bean, sitting on components towards what I assume is going to be the Collector. Could also be a Phantom Dancer for himself. Looking at the items he's got.
I'm looking
Now,
for a
Rome.
Rome here, but I don't think they kill him.
Yeah, well, Cast gets hit. Remy gets bought back, but he has that world ender. He just jumps in onto Bean. Bean's caught out. Bean has to slide away from this one, but backup is coming if Rome can sustain, and he can absolutely do so. In fact, he might just be able to 1v2 here. Rux is getting knocked up. They've got the attract. They've got the repel. They've got the backup of Advian, who flashes in with the Magnet Storm, but misses out. The teleports are coming in. Hatrix is onto that flank, though. Here comes Febby. The Scout of the Week's going to connect, and Advian's going to lose his life, but Rome able to survive. Now Hatrix is the one being run down by the members of Fnatic. The Honey Fruit is going to slow Maxi down and mean that just wants to heal up a little bit.
All right, I think Advian needs a hype check on that one because a little bit ambitious, a little bit overzealous. It should have just been, okay, we got a Rome out, great. That should have been the play, and then you also get Dragon on the bot side. Instead, Advian tries to make the hero play, and it ends up being a bit of a zero play.
Well, Arome actually getting caught out here. The shockwave's used and Maxi's taking tower shots, but he will survive this one. And that is going to be the end of Hatrix. He just gets popped. Meanwhile, Pride getting jumped into. Marcoon slowing with those cleavers constantly. Pride's healing. It's there, but it's just not enough. Deadly double buffed on the Tristana. 4-0-4. Kraken Slayer, Phantom Dancer doing way too much damage for anybody on Fnatic to deal with.
But this still isn't good for BDXL, considering how far ahead you were. Arome very greedy with this reset, and Hatrix. I mean, why are either of them here? It's one tower. You should be willing to give up the tower because you're getting more on the other side of the map. It's called a cross map, but instead, they opt to try and defend for no reason. They both go down, and it's giving unnecessary gold to Fnatic Rising. This is just your head against this team. This is a team you don't want to disrespect. And I don't think it's caused any issues yet, but if you continue making plays like that, that is how Fnatic Rising get back into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. There is this, there is the play, at least they got the dragon and a tower while they traded 2 kills for a tower. So, there was stuff going on. It wasn't like they just gave up 2 free kills. But like you said, when you're this far ahead, realistically, those plays, you should just go, okay, we base in a very defensive place. We just move back and don't even give the opportunity. We sacrifice the tower, and then suddenly that tower becomes, you trade 1 tower for a tower and a dragon.
Exactly, and it would have been a better trade. Potentially, if they were on other areas of the map, we could have got even more.
Uh-oh. That's a lot of gold.
Goodbye.
Into the carry, though. Into the Gragas as the alarm goes off from the back of the play.
Okay. Hopefully your house is on fire.
My house is on fire, guys. Just it's all good. Because this game is heating up. That's what's going on here, Orcs. Going in. That's the Magnet Storm. That's the Shockwave combo. Everybody gets pepped back, though, by the Cask. And Maxi doing a lot of work. Fnatic's health bars are low, but XL, they're just low in members. Can't make the damage stick. Can't make it work.
Still looks like it's BTXL's house that is on fire. Going into that one without Deadly risky. They needed to stop the Baron, and they do manage to do so, but they lose another member. Again, BTXL had a lead, and it's starting to get a bit sloppy. There's starting to be a bit of mess. Deadly, it's just a great pick. Really solid to see. His position was a bit too close to that Fog of War area, but a nice catch out coming out from Fnatic Rising, and then they turn onto the Baron in this situation. And BTXL are threatening. They want to stop them on the Baron, but they just get a bit too close. The turn comes in, and as much as there's a lot of damage coming out in return, Arome just isn't able to survive. Maxi able to chase him down, and the follow-up is there.
Well, here we are, 22 minutes into the clock, into the game. 3 items on Deadly, well, 2.5 is just the last whisper. Bean has got his PD finished up as well, and considering this gold lead was a lot bigger earlier on, Fnatic are doing a good job of pulling it back.
It's twofold. Fnatic are doing a good job. They're finding these windows. They're looking for these aggressive plays, the picks, and XL are giving it to them.
Yeah.
Unwilling to concede with regards to that tower. Deadly a bit too over-aggressive. It's just a bit sloppy. And this is what we expect from Fnatic, is that even when they're behind, they start to find windows to get back into the game. Still, I think BXXL aren't in a bad spot. They are still ahead in gold. A lot of scaling elements on their team composition, but you don't want to be given opportunities.
And this is what happened in game 1 as well. XL had a good pretty, and Fnatic started to pull themselves back in. And that game, if you remember right, went back all the way to basically a coin flip. It was a base race. The Fnatic lost very narrowly.
Maybe
it was an auto attack or 2 in it. If we get another base race, that's gonna be hype.
That's the play.
Just shoot the Nexus.
Yep. I think we just skip all the farming, team fight, and all that stuff. Every game should just be a base race.
Yeah. League of Legends would be bloody exciting if that was the case.
For a bit, and then it'll probably get a bit stale.
Yeah. What we should do, we should have a game mode where there's just 2 Nexus next to each other, and it's a very small map. And you just have to kill the Nexus, but there's
I'm pretty sure
5v5
Nexus
team
Blitz
fighting.
literally does that. Like, the Nexus come alive and walk in.
But, like, imagine it's just Nexus Blitz, but from moment 1. You're just in a small circular arena, 2 Nexus, and it's just 5-on-5 team fighting. You got to juggle killing the enemy and also defending and doing damage to their Nexus. That is a big game. Now, back to what really is going on, and not a made-up game I've just came up with. XL are able to pick themselves up their 3rd dragon. And that is solved for them. As Febby's actually used Scatter, so Deadly just takes that as the opportunity to jump into him, forcing the flash. Meanwhile, Pride gets caught out by a Rome. He goes in for the stride breaker. The slows are there. Marcoon forces his flash out with the cleaver. And Fnatic we were praising them for finding XL mistakes, but now they are the ones who just got caught out being a little bit too greedy.
Yeah, BTXL starting to work a bit more tight, a bit more coordinated, sticking together, not giving those windows away. They pick up that 3rd dragon, so 1 away from Soul. Not going to start the Baron there, but threatening Fnatic Rising, and both solo laners end up losing their flashes there.
Well, Deadly's now got his Mortal Reminder. Not Mortal Reminder. Lord Dominic's. I get the 2 modeled up every time.
And I mean, we have the last Twister coming in from Beam, but significant item advantage. There's even a stopwatch there as well for Deadly. Level up as well.
And if there's one thing I've learned from you, if you see teams starting to pick up stopwatches, that means they're looking to fight. And
That's when you know something big's coming.
yeah, and with the Baron up, with Soul up in 3 minutes, I think something might be coming.
Yeah, he's not picking that stopwatch to chin into his onions, I'll tell you that much. It's very much stuff is going down. 3 minutes till Soul, and that's almost going to definitely be a fight. It's almost a guaranteed fight that's going to originate off that. But you can see BTXL are threatening around this Baron area, trying to get vision control, trying to get picks. And Rux is, as far as champions go, he's kind of safe. Obviously, he has a body slam to just get over terrain, but he can't walk in. He can't face check. The vision's been swept out, and I think BTXL are potentially toying with the fact of starting up this Baron.
Oh, they're starting it.
So, and Fnatic Rising need to contest this.
We'll get spotted out thanks to the Void Seeker from Bean.
He's a level up though and has flash.
They've also got Advian. That's the free. That's the combo. Fnatic's health bars are just obliterated. Deadly does go a little bit low. Pride slides in, pops himself the Dominus, but Arome is just squashing Bean. Actually, no. He gets taken out by Pride, and now Deadly flashes in forward. Bean goes invisible. There's that stopwatch. There's the slam. Here is Deadly, and XL take 4 Fnatic off the rift.
Beautiful combo coming out from Advian. Has them face check, and that's the point. You clear the vision out. Very easy for Advian to wait in the bush on this Rel. Gets a huge lockdown, and it was actually a delayed shockwave to come after. Patrick's have to move the ball over, but it connects. And what's crazy is even on the back of that combo, they still didn't instantly win the team fight. They needed a little bit more. They do manage to close it out. 4 for 1, and they get that Baron. Huge for XL here.
And let's just have a look at this again. What a beautiful wombo combo.
But that's the thing,
Storm Shockwave.
They're face checking quickly because they don't have the vision. The connection comes in, the follow-up is there. But even so, Bean survives for a while. Pride joins on full HP and starts to cause problems. But you can see Fnatic are on the back foot in this one. And this was close here. The body slam from Rux to stop the dash. And then the W comes in, baited in, but the stopwatch actually being a difference maker there for Bean. For Deadly over Bean. And now Baron in hand, Dragon spawning. fairly soon, BTXL should be looking to push up and get control of it.
And I just don't think Fnatic can even contest it. I really don't. The ultimates are already back up for XL.
I mean, they can just push the waves up with the Baron minions. And once Fnatic are so far back in their base, it's very difficult to face check because you're walking through areas you don't have vision for. If you're too slow, Dragon's already gone. If you're too quick, suddenly Advian comes out from a brush you didn't check on a flank, gets that lockdown combo again, and you've just lost the game.
Fnatic may just look to try and fight before that comes up. The Baron Siege on two fronts is starting to be really problematic now. Atrix and Deadly just gonna squash that tower. It is melted by the two of them. Scout of the Week's not gonna quite hit, and Advian looking to jump in forwards, looking to find his opportunity to find another big Magnet Storm for his team. Fnatic are playing nice and safe though for the moment. Second inhibitor will crumble to XL as Maxi jumps in onto Marcoon. Void Seeker by Bean goes through the goalposts, and Deadly, that hurts. Maxi, there's just so much health to this Tristana. 3-level lead over him, and Avian and Hatrix setting up in a bush together.
And yeah, I mean, the vision control's been secured. Very difficult to face check here. BTXL get the soul. Extra movement speed, definitely a big boon for champions like Mundo and Aatrox who already get movement speed up their ultimates. Puts you in a really powerful spot. Things are looking a bit dire for Fnatic Rising at this point. 5,500 gold down right now. And you see that Febiven's managed to keep up in terms of gold, but
yeah,
for the rest of them, it's kind of a big advantage. Jungle's relatively similar, but 80 carry is massive. Top lane's pretty significant as well. And the thing is, I give the scaling edge to BTXL here. They come out stronger in the team fights in the late game.
They do, they really do.
Outscale pound for pound. And Baron is going to time out here, but two inhibitors down mid and bot make things difficult to defend.
Remember for Fnatic, at least if they do lose this game, it's not the end of the world because they do just go into the losers, the lower bracket. We don't call it the losers bracket, the lower bracket, where they will be playing the winner of Team Singularity or Nordavent from our next game coming up after this. So we do still have another best of 3 to go to find out who will be taking on the loser of this game. Fnatic, they are not looking to lose this yet, as Advian is going to get scattered and poked out a little bit. Pride is on the flank, but Arome is doing a great job of just guarding the squishier members of his team as they're waiting for these waves to crash in, and Advian got that flashback, so can look for the combo. It's the Shock Storm again, and they are just popped by XL. A double kill for Deadly, make it the triple kill. Not gonna get the quadra, but he's gonna find it up to close it out there. Quadra kill for Deadly. I lost the ability to speak. And XL will make it through to the grand finals of the NLC.
And it's a huge achievement for BTXL. I believe the first time they've ever beaten Fnatic Rising in the playoffs in a series. Every other time it's been Fnatic Rising as the winners. And even, you know, when we had the 2 brackets in summer, Fnatic Rising beat them out the first time. Didn't even get to face them the second time as they lost to Riddle. So a huge achievement, honestly, for BTXL here. And pretty dominant performance in that game 3. Obviously, game 2 showed the strength of Fnatic Rising, showed why there's so much respect, but they really brought it back in that game 3. There were mistakes, but they're always going to show when we have 2 high-caliber teams. No team's going to look flawless, but well-deserved win.
Yeah, definitely a well-deserved win, and probably a long overdue win for XL as well, after what's been a rough few years where they've always played second fiddle to Fnatic Rising, and finally beating them in a best of series. Got to feel great, but, you know, they have to, you know, either pray for Fnatic lose to Singularity or Nordafend on Saturday, I believe that game is, and then or beat them on Sunday on the finals. But great win for them. It does mean they get a bit more time off to relax and get ready for the finals. Now we're going to throw to a break, and when we're back, we'll have our analyst desk to break that down a little bit more and have an interview with Hatrix. So we'll see you in a moment.
right. All my friends are asked to stay after class. What a gas. We'll make up the rules as we go. Get the nerve of band, start the show. Get up and go, get up and go, get up and go. Get up and go, get up and go, get up and go. Get up and go, get up and go, get up and go. Get up and go, get up and go. Get up and go, get up and go, get up and go. Get up and go, get up and go, get up and go. Get up and go, get up and go, get up and go. Get up and go, get up and go. Hands up, generation, Nintendo education, other kinds of wealth. We found this animation, luck was a conversation, pictures on a shelf. People say we are just what we do. It's just a stage. So we go on.
Well, there you have it. XL and beat Fnatic, I believe, according to our reliable information source of Orcs, for the first time ever in a playoff scenario, which is absolutely nutty to think about. I think because we've never really had the upper bracket and the lower bracket when it comes to sort of the Nordic and the UKLC scenes before. But it is a big win for them and a kind of historic one because it finally sets that tone that XL are right now the best team in the NLC.
I feel we kind of pushed that narrative at the start as well, that BTXL do look better than Fnatic. But when you lose that second game so convincingly, all these inkling thoughts come back to your head of they've been our kryptonite for so long, we've beat everyone else and we just can't beat Fnatic. And they just came into game number 3, which was not convincing at the start at all and absolutely smashed it mechanic-wise. It was so good and so clean. The way they would execute the fights to AT was so beautiful to watch. The coordination was there, the macro was there, mechanics were there, everything just clicked into place.
Yeah, and now Fnatic obviously has to play the winner of our next series, and if Fnatic were to beat that and go into a best of 5 against BTXL, I don't think it's gonna be a stomp again. I think this showed us that this best of 3 system does enable some more games to come through. There was a game where Fnatic absolutely stomped it. There was a game where BTXL absolutely stomped it. So I think a scenario in a best of 5 is just gonna be even more interesting to watch between these two teams if that were to happen.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We actually do have someone from XL standing by. I believe Hatrix is here to chat to us. So I'm going to bring Hatrix in. And first of all, congratulations, Hatrix, for several reasons. A, I think it is the first time you beat Fnatic. BTXL have beaten Fnatic in a playoff scenario in either the UK scene or in, obviously, the NLC. Secondly, you guarantee the European Masters spot. You are at the European Masters now, which is absolutely huge, obviously.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You're currently guaranteed play-ins, but obviously that can improve if you were to win, again, in that best of 5 later on this weekend. So first of all, what does it feel like for the team, especially knowing that you're going to European Masters?
We're obviously extremely happy. I think especially me and Deadly, after we, kind of flopped last split. I think Markoon and, if I remember correctly, Adven is also playing their first EM Masters, so I think everyone's really ecstatic about this, and we're really happy we were able to take this win today.
Yeah, and I think you guys absolutely killed it. You had a really good series. Second game, it was a bit of an interesting one. The draft that you pulled out, was that a limit testing draft? Were you trying something different, or what was the thought process behind the draft?
So after the first game, which obviously was extremely close, can't be closer actually. It was a very slow game with a lot of front line and front to back, and it's a very slow scaling type of comp, right? And we decided that for game 2 we're gonna try something a bit more spicy. It's not a limit test. It's just we wanted to kind of take control of the games from early on. We had some good plays in the first few minutes of the game, but we really failed to execute into the side lanes later. Like we got a kill on mid, we got a kill on Draven, but then we weren't able to take control of the game. And as soon as they got mid control, which they did really, really well, it was really hard to play the game. I think, at least for me, that's probably the hardest competitive game I've ever played in my life. And I played this game for so crazy long. So kudos to them. I think they played well, more than we played bad. So that's kind of the idea, we wanted to take control. Obviously didn't work out. They spanked us. Nothing to be done. At least
you adapted it into game 3 and obviously came back and hit them just as hard, realistically. I actually want to build on that mid lane control, because obviously this is the first time that I think you've got to face Forbiven in lane, which is obviously, he's got a lot of weight behind the name, obviously. What was it like for you? Did you kind of play as if it was nameplates off? Did you have a different way of approaching that lane?
Not necessarily, no. I don't ever disrespect any mid. I just play like all the mid laners are equally good. And obviously, Fabian's a big name. When I was still really bad at the game, I was watching him pop off. So I was really excited about it. I think he played really solid in mid-late game, like his positioning, his game sense, stuff like that. But I think his laning was really lacking today. I think I got the best of him in both game 1 and game 3, which I'm really happy about. No, but it's really fun to play against people like this, because I think, especially because the mid lane players haven't been the best this split, it's really refreshing to play against a really good player, and I think Fabian is still a really good player. So
clearly, and I think you guys definitely duked it out over the series. But Hatrix, I'm going to have to unfortunately push for time. I could talk to you all day about that series and how you guys have done well, but I've got to let you go. Obviously, massive congratulations. You're in the finals. You're guaranteed a European Masters. Obviously, a big win for you, especially like you said, for you and Deadly after last split. I really hope we get to see this XL crush it on the European Masters stage as well.
Yeah, we're going to step it up and do the best we can.
Looking forward to it, mate. Cool. Right, guys, I'm gonna have to quickly run us into drawing board. I'm gonna get our Professor Gulborg ready to do this, because we have got another series after this, and I want to kind of wrap up the analysis from this last game, Gulborg.
Oh my god, all right, let's get straight into it then. It is the Baron that we're gonna see, and in the beginning, we're talking about setups, right? Can I go back a bit? All right, perfect. I want to talk about the fuck of all. I want to talk about the priority we get here from both lanes, because you pretty much have everything secured right now. You got the minion wave in first, you get the vision, and you get to start the objective first. Pressure, vision, objective. We've been through the whole ordeal before, but the thing is, because it's already started and it's going down so fast, they're not paying attention to the fog of war right now. They're too busy trying to just figure out how to get into the pit. And before they realize, it's already too late. Advienne comes in with a huge magnet storm down there to follow up with the shockwave, and after this, it's basically just down to mechanics. There's a lot of mechanical outplays here. It's beautiful kiting from Bean. It's a really good body slam from Rox as well. And here, Deadly with the stopwatch, baiting out Bean to go in again. I feel like the fight started out in a way where we could talk about macro and the setup, but it ended out being a mechanical display.
I completely agree right there. It just felt like everything clicked for BTXL. They had enough. They had enough of losing to Fnatic. They had enough of Fnatic going undefeated in best of scenarios. And there you go. They just finally made it. They locked in for EU Masters. And after last split, where they didn't even manage to go to EU Masters, knowing from now that they have all this time to practice until then is going to be so valuable for them.
Yeah, I think obviously this is a big moment for XL, as we said in the interview and beforehand, like beating Fnatic for the very first time, a huge deal. And of course, that is our first team going to the European Masters guaranteed. So we've got one team from the NLC going to European Masters. Be big for XL, especially for these players wanting to show themselves on that European stage. But we have more series today, and I do need to get prepared for that with you guys. We're going to go to a quick break, but once we're back, we will have that Singularity Nordavind series coming your way.